Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're tuning in from. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. If you could pop in the chat and let me know if you could see this beautiful package on my desk, and if you can hear my voice, just let me know so we can get started. Because let me tell you, I am so excited to open this. It has been like every fiber of my willpower has kept me from tearing into this. So I just thought it'd be fun to do it together and I hope you guys enjoy. Um, and what we're going to do, I did put a little rundown in the video description, but what we're going to do here today is we're going to unbox this. Then we are going to, I'm going to show you some stuff I've done with Derwent pencils in the past. We're going to swatch all the colors. So if you want to have a notepad and paper handy in case you're thinking about picking up some of the colors open stock, you can write down the numbers of the ones that you have your eye on. We're going to swatch on white, gray, and black paper, and then we're going to do some artwork. I actually have a tray of just like kind of just natural looking things that I thought we might try doing some sketching of. And yeah, I will break for question and answers at different points. After the swatching, I'll take a Q&A break. So if you're watching the replay, you can like jump ahead if you want to. And then after we do the artwork, I'll do another Q&A break and then we'll wrap it up. So I imagine we'll probably be at it for a while here because it's going to take a while to swatch 72 colors, but I do have my swatch sheets all prepared. So that shouldn't be too bad. It should be a pretty brisk and lively stream here. I know a lot of people are excited about this product. I am so excited about it. I got an email from Derwent 2 days ago saying they were sending a new product and gave me a tracking number. And I thought it would be a couple weeks because it came from the UK, but they must have overnighted it because I got it last night at 8 p.m. FedEx dropped it off, and yeah, I'm super excited. So feel free chit chat in the comments and we'll do a Q&A break. Just as you think of things, if a question pops to mind, type the word question in all caps and then just type your question after that. So that way, when I'm scrolling back through, I can see them and answer them. So this is so pretty. When I first opened the package, there were all these little seeds, and I was like, "Oh, did a mouse get in my package or something? What's going on?" And it was this beautiful little spray of natural items here, which also would be fun to draw. So I'm going to try not to destroy that. Beautiful branded Derwent ribbon. I feel so special. Like, who has this? It's so exciting. I'm just so excited they sent these to me. I demoed the Derwent drawing range of 24 at the Color Pencil Society of America's trade show for them. So I did, and I had no idea. People were asking me, like, are they ever going to come up with more colors? And I'm like, I don't think they are. And I probably look like a dum dum because look at so this cute little card, and they did send me a press free. And so as we're going through, I'll tell you what I know so far, which probably isn't much more than the average. But yeah, let's open her up. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, what an earthy color. Oh my gosh, so nice. Look at that artwork. I'm gonna tip it because my lights want to catch the glare. You can see that there. Very subdued, very pretty. I'm looking. I wonder who did the artwork by Jess Pritchard. I apologize uh for my pronunciation there. But I also want to let you know I'm going to be using an electric pencil sharpener. So if you're watching this with headphones, just be aware there could be some loud sharpening. Look at that. So pretty. Oh man, I gotta smell them. They really don't have any smell. Some things do though, but this really doesn't have any much of a smell. Ooh, look at those bright. That's vibrant. That's really vibrant compared to the first range of 24. I have my 20. I do have my 24s right here. I'll show you real quick. Oh gosh. This is like these aren't my first Derwent drawings, but look at that logo. Oh my gosh. That's an older set, but this is what I have several sets of these. I had a brand new one to demo with, but I actually have the original Derwent drawing, some stubs, and they before they even were doing this little end capping. But that's what the original range was, and there's a little swatch there. But um, yeah, so they're such great pencils. They're such great pencils. especially when you want to do a limited supply. Now look at the size of the lead. I mean, that's wild. It's probably the thickest lead pencil that I have that's not some sort of kind of novelty pencil. Oh boy, these are great. I wonder, it looks like they're in numerical order, so that's good. We're just going to go through and swatch them as they come. So the range was previously 24 pencils. It's expanded to 72. They're all going to be available open stock, which means you can just buy the colors you want, which we love. We don't love it when brands like to pull a fast one and make us buy whole new sets with all kinds of duplicate colors just to get the few we want. We don't like that. Not naming names. We don't like that sort of nonsense over here. Um, and something I've noticed actually, and I did put a link in the video description, I checked on Blick. From what I gather from my contact at Derwent, Blick and Derwent.com will have these on October 1st. I was looking at Blick and they have all of their Derwent drawing pencils, all their open stock and all their sets for 50% off right now. So, and I've noticed that whenever a new product's coming out, they usually deeply discount the older ones. And the set of 24 that I just showed you was going for like 68 to $71 like a month ago because I was pricing some pencils for an upcoming class I'm teaching. And they're like 44.50 I think at Blick right now for the set of 24 and $1.89 a pencil. So just to give you the heads up, regular retail price on these pencils are 369 a piece or £2 59 if you're in the UK. And I don't know what it works out to be in euros, but usually in sets you save quite a bit. And at Blick has really good prices right now. So if you've been thinking about the set of 24, it might be a good time to grab it. Or if you want some open stock of your favorite colors, now might be the time to get it because I don't know what the pricing is going to be when these come out. As you know, there's been a lot of price increases recently with tariffs. So who knows? This is coming from the UK. But right now, what Blick has in stock, it's on sale. So let's get to swatching because that's what you came here to see. And we're going to start with this first tray. I'm actually going to keep them together. So hopefully we can keep everything kind of on the screen. Let's do it this way. I'm going to zoom out just one little click here. I think that will keep everything on screen. Maybe one more. I don't know. Maybe I'll zoom in. We'll see. I might want to zoom in because we might want our swatches to be a little bit smaller. So these are some little portraits I did just using like two blues, two reddish colors, two greens. Um, this is the swatch chart. I'll show you a couple finished pieces as well with the drawing pencils. So these were done with Derwent drawing. That was done live at a live session. This one was done just I took my time on it, but it still kept a very sketchy loose feel. These were done with Derwent drawing pencils. There's a tutorial for this on the Michael's website, Michael's YouTube channel, rather. I did that for one of their Derwent sponsored live streams. So just kind of give you an idea of the color range with those. I know I have other things too, but I just don't know where they are right off the top of my head. But let's get started here. Our first color is champagne, and this is color 0100. So we're going to start, let's see. You know what? I'm going to write the number there, but 0100. And I'm saying this out loud so that uh, if you wanted to take notes and think about getting any of these colors, you can. I'll start with a heavy pressure and work to light. This is such a light color that it's going to be hard to see on white or the tone. And you know what? Let me give it a quick sharpen to see if it feels different. I'm not going to sharpen them to a needle point because these are a really soft pencil. Sometimes the pencils feel different after you sharpen them, but they feel about the same. All right, next up, we have Sunflower 0200. Oh, that's a really pretty color. And look how opaque. Now, if you're wondering about how these feel versus how, say the Derwent Lightfast feels, it's a very, it feels similar, but it's very soft. Not as soft as say like the Chroma Flow, but it has a little bit of a drier feeling to it, but not as dry as a pastel pencil. Just wanna see if it and I think it feels maybe a little bit smoother after you sharpen it, probably because of the factory sharpen is more of like is a little bit of a rougher texture. I'm gonna sharpen this one first. Mustard 0300. I generally, don't really feel like I need to swatch my colored pencils, especially with ones like this with thick leads. You can easily see what you have. This one is super vibrant. Well, they all are, but I I am really liking this. Now, looking at the mustard and the sunflower, they're very similar. Um, see if we look at that, we look at this. I mean, let's even look at the lips. Shoot, don't do that. Don't drop your pencils. I mean, even if you just look at the leads, they look very similar. So if you're looking to, save a little money, just buy a few open stock, I think that there's going to be ones that you could kind of skip over a bit if you wanted to. I'm sharpening again. This one is gold. 0400. Again, it's a very similar color. It's a little bit more earthy. It's a little bit more of like a yellow ochre color. It's a little richer. And there were a couple colors that were kind of in that yellow ochre feel in the original set. Look at that on black though. Boy, it really shows up well. I think I think I am going to zoom in a little bit just because I think once you zoom if you zoom out, I just want to make sure you can see. We'll just scooch it over like that. And then we can shift our page up as we need to. All right, next color is apricot. I did just spy a question. These are all light fast colors, all 72 in the range. So what I know so far about the pencils is that they will all be open stock. The 72 colors in the range, they're all light fast, and they'll be available October 1st. This color here, this apricot, it does seem to lose chroma on the black a bit, but it shows up pretty well on the other two colors. This actually, I wonder if this is one of the older colors. This looks very familiar, but the name doesn't sound familiar to me. But, I tend to not look at the names so much as I do the color. One thing I will mention is that they've got a painted barrel. I have like the first ones that I have from them were actually a stained barrel. They've got a painted barrel with white non-reflective writing, so it is easy to read the it's easy to read the lettering on there, which I appreciate because silver and gold lettering is pretty, it's just very difficult to read quickly. This is 0600 and the color is autumn leaf. Do a little turn of the pencil while I'm swatching it so I can try to keep a sharp tip there. Oh, that's pretty. That's really opaque. That does not lose its chroma on black at all. That would be a good one to pick up. Our next color is rust. We're going to give it a sharpen. So I was really surprised that they because when people were asking me about this 0700 if they were going to come out with more, I said I really don't think they will because that's all your neutral colors. And then if you want light fast, vibrant colors, you've got the Derwent Light Fast. I don't know why they would come out with more. I honestly didn't think they would, and I figured, and I thought the reason of it because it was so requested, and I figured the reason why they weren't coming out with more would be because of whatever the cost would be to make these. Because look how thick the lead is. The lead is thicker. This is like a 5.6 millimeter lead versus the Derwent Light Fast, which I think is 3.8. And you got so much more lead. And if you're using all light fast pigments, that really does that really adds up in cost. So I just figured it'd be a very expensive pencil to make in more vibrant colors. This is strawberry. We know that color from other ranges. So I'm hoping they can keep the price the same. 08. Oh. So we have strawberry in the ChromaFlow range. And I'm just wondering about the color difference. It definitely does feel a little bit more muted in this drawing range. Very opaque though. Look at it on the brown, on the gray. Let's see how she does on black. Nice and opaque on black. Maybe losing a little bit of chroma, but that's kind of to be expected. And for a red to be light fast, that's a big deal. That's great. Oh, and reds are my favorite. This is autumn red. I think it's an autumn, maybe an autumn brown in the last frame. This looks like it's going to be nice. This is 0900. I need to give myself a little more space, I think. Still, it's muted. I mean, it's not like your lipstick red or anything. I cannot wait to try drawing some of the things that I brought up in my little basket. Picked up some leaves when I was walking the dog this morning. But you know what? Because one thing I recommended to people that were looking to kind of buff up uh, their range of light fast colored pencil products would be to buy the Derwent drawing pencil set of 24 and then add the vibrant colors from the Derwent light fast set. Let's sharpen this next one. This is Rioja 1000. Now, I just peeked at the chat, and Sonia says that Cult Pens has the new colors for pre-order, and the new colors are more expensive than the old colors. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be across the board. This is beautiful. It's like kind of a wine red here, but yeah, I mean, I don't have any information on specific pricing. I was just thinking they might be around the MSRP for the first 24 colors. I'm really liking that range though. I love to work on dark paper and I like to work on, and this is really smooth paper. This isn't sanded or textured or anything. So what you're seeing is what you can expect on a smooth paper, which I didn't want to do it on sanded paper, even though I love to use sanded paper because sanded paper will make your colors more vibrant a lot of times. And I wanted to be fair. Oh, and I want to disclose, and I'm sure most of you know this anyway. This is 1610 light sienna. I have been using Derwent products since the 90s, and I'm a fan, and I have done freelance work for them for the past 4 or 5 years. So I do have a relationship with the company. I just want to make sure that that's fully disclosed. If you want to weigh my opinion or my excitement with if you want to take it with a grain of salt, because I do like this company and I do like their products, and I've liked their products for a while, and I have worked for them, or in a freelance capacity. Kind of a nice, I would say really light Caucasian color, this light sienna. That would be nice for portrait artists. Next up, we have light rust. CJ Kirby says the 72 set is $211.74 USD on Cult Pens. So I don't know what that works out to be per pencil. 1650 is not the number, that's the number, that's this color. That not a price, that's this color. Light rust. Yeah, I can't do math and swatch things at the same time. If anybody wants to do the math, divide that by 72 to get the per pencil price. That would be super interesting. Now on black, the light rust does not look much different than the light sienna. It's a little bit pinker. And I think that's kind of interesting because if you always work on black or you always work on toned to see how the colors differ on a color you typically work on. Next up, we have Dusky Pink, and that is 1700. Oh, oh. Africa says that my reviews are one of her go-tos for the honesty, the good and the bad alike. Well, I appreciate that. I try to be as unbiased and honest as possible, but I want to disclose any sort of biases I might have because we all have them. If a company treated you poorly in the past, you may have a hard time taking that taking that apart, taking that out of a review. And on the other hand, if company treated you really well, you may have a hard time separating that from your review. And I try to be as unbiased, but nobody's perfect. That's a really pretty, almost blushy color. What was that? That's a very pinky, dusky pink. It's a almost a portrait pink color. Oh, so pretty. So far, I'm seeing like kind of small gradations between the colors. It just kind of shows you what sort of muted palette you're going to be getting here. Next color is, I think it's pronounced Bistre, Bistre. I know I could have sharpened all these ahead of time, but I wanted to open it with you guys. I was so excited. 1800, 1800. I don't know what is Bistre? Bistry? Bister? This is extremely muted because it almost looks white on this. It's very similar to that cream color, except it's got like a pink undertone instead of a yellow undertone. And it's almost the exact value of that toned gray. And the gray I'm using is this, and I don't think you can get this anymore. Um, this gray and brown sketchbook from, um, oh, what's it called? From what is the name of that place? Five Below. Oh, here's some dogs that I sketched with the Derwent drawing. Did I show you that at the beginning? I don't think I did. And then I also did this is a sketch of my dog on the porch. And oh, and this is the range. This is the original Derwent drawing range on toned, just to kind of give you an idea of that muted color palette. But the big thing is make sure you have a good variety of values, which you do in this 24 set. You've got these really darks, you got the really lights, you got the mid gray, the mid value. And as long as you have a variety of values, you can do great art. You don't have to have a million colors. All right, next color is ash rose. And I know that from maybe the light fast ring. I think they have ash rose in the light fast because that seems really familiar. 1900. Remember, if you want, you can take notes. You can note down the numbers and the names of the colors you like. And that way, if you are going to make an open stock order, somebody said, a couple people said Cult Pens has them. You can pick and choose because I think we're going to find that within this range, there's going to be a lot of colors that are very similar to one another. Very pretty. This is going to be exciting to use on black paper, I think. Oftentimes I find that colored pencils just aren't opaque enough for black, but I think these are gonna be just fine on the black. Oh, I'm excited. Boy, oh boy, do I like these. The next color we're gonna look at is burnt rose. And this color is number 2000. Kind of a it's almost like a light plummy color. These colors kind of remind me of the colors that were really popular in the 90s for like home decor, those kind of dusty Americana. I know this is a British company, but those kind of colonial colors, I guess I would say. Burnt rose. Very pretty. It's probably like a step duller than that strawberry color. I think that was strawberry, right? Or was it no autumn red? I guess like a step more muted and lighter. And here we have grape. Oh, I'm really curious. This is something I've been really wondering about. How are they going to deal with purples and pinks and reds, which are notoriously hard to do in color pencil because they're very fugitive colors. But these are all light fast. So grape 2100. Whoops, sharpen that one too much. But this is definitely not a vibrant purple like we have in ChromaFlow. There are some vibrant purples in light fast. So if you want that really punchy light fast purple or pink, I would still say get that open stock light fast. It stays pretty consistent in chroma across the different backgrounds, which is nice. I bet the purple you can almost see the purple wanting to as you go over, you can kinda see it wanting to come out more. I bet if we used a solvent on this, it would look a lot more purple, but definitely not the same tone that we get in the Light Faster, the Chroma Flow range. Now, I've never ordered from Cult Pens. If anybody has from the USA and wants to share their experience and as far if there's like shipping or customs or anything like that that comes into play, that would be really handy for other people to know. This is color 2200 soft violet. We're kind of spoiled in the USA because we have a couple really big art supply retailers, and so we don't often have to. And up until recently, we haven't had to pay import taxes on anything under $800. So we've been quite spoiled here. I think we might be in for a bit of a shock coming up soon if we start ordering from other countries. Now that is a very pale pastel purple color. On black, it loses its chroma quite a bit, though. But when I squint and compare it to these other colors, I can see the purple undertone here versus the pinks and the orangey and yellow undertones there. So, but it does seem to be a little less saturated on the black compared to the white. There must be some transparent pigments in there. Now we have Heather. If you're not seeing the live streams, I did post it on my blog, to the newsletter, and on a Instagram story. Make sure you have the bell clicked. Make sure you're subscribed and you have the bell notifications turned on so that you'll get a notification when I go live. This color is called Heather 2300. Oh shoot, I sharpened it too much. And that is a little bit more saturated and darker than the previous color, that soft violet color we just looked at. It's also a little bit pinker, it seems like. Up next is Violet Dusk. And 2400 is the color number. Oh, I gotta stop. I gotta see if I can change this sharpener to dull. I think I have one of those AFMAT multi-tip ones. I just turned it down to a lower pointiness. Oh, that's a really pretty violet. I'm surprised they could do that one in a light fast color. That's really nice. A little breakage there, but that's probably due to how much I sharpened it. Oh, that's really pretty. I like that pastel purple. It still has saturation over the black. That was 2400 Violet Dusk. Now Jackson's has actually has a warehouse in Maine. So I don't know if they stock the Derwent products locally, but they may be an option. But all I've been told so far is that Blick is going to carry them. This is called Slate Violet. The number is 2500. And I'll scan my swatches when we're done today and post them on my blog. I'll just edit the post I have up right now. Now on black, it looks quite similar to the Violet Dusk, but it is lighter in tone, a little bit more gray on white, but it looks very similar on the black to that other color. So again, what do you use mainly for surface, and that can help you decide what colors to pick up. And here we have Delft Blue 2600. It's a beautiful, almost indigo color, almost kind of between an indigo and a phthalo blue. Oh, it's nice and smooth too. Oh, look at that on the black. It really keeps its saturation on the black. That's nice. That's a very smooth color. That feels uh maybe even a little bit smoother than the other ones. Our next color is royal blue. Oh, that's a nice vibrant one. That's really vibrant. That is color 2700. It's almost like a cornflower blue, maybe a little bit darker. Feels a little drier than the Delft blue. It's beautiful on black though. Look at that. That's gorgeous on black. Our next color is teal blue, and funny enough, that actually does not look very tealy to me. It looks almost like the mid ultramarine. 2800 is a number. Kind of a mid in value range. As you can see, it's hard to show up on that toned gray. And it's not very saturated on black, but it's not a very saturated color. I'd say it's actually probably about the same. It's funny, it looks a little bit more lavendery over here on white and maybe has a little bit more of the tealy undertones over on black. It's funny how colors can change. I'm gonna scooch up my paper a little bit and scooch up my set of pencils. Okay, we just did that one. I also like sharpening them because I can see which ones I've done really quickly. Polar Ice 2900. Sounds like a delicious beverage, doesn't it? We have a soda company called Polar. I don't know if it's just in Maine or if it's uh, New England or the whole country, but they make this dry diet grapefruit soda that is so good. It's like my favorite beverage. Oh, that's gorgeous. That is a really nice one. Man, they're knocking it out of the park with the blues. I'm really glad too because um the original set of 24 did not have much for blues, and if you were going to use these for landscapes, you would really be you just have to rely on values and not on colors for the landscapes and use gray and maybe like the ink blue. That looks really nice on black. That stands out really well. And again, like I said, this is just a very smooth surface. It doesn't have any tooth that's going to help me grab more color than what you would normally get on drawing paper. It's like a cardstock. Susan Sacco says the 24 set is $54 on Amazon. Yeah, it's 44.50 over on Blick. 3000. This is a Deep Atlantic color 3000. Ooh, this is nice. Look at this. Now, this is what I would call teal. This is like almost like a marine blue. That's really punchy. That's a beautiful color. I can see this is going to be so nice with like the ink blue from the original 24 set. Now, 24 set colors are in this set. You don't need to buy both. So I have had some people ask, well, I've seen people ask on different social media platforms if they're going to sell a top-up set. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that, but I know Cult Pens has done that in the past with like the Derwent Light Fast, so they might have something like that available, but I don't know. This is Solway Blue, 3615. And it's kind of like oops, I think I got a little dust in there and where's that on the pencil? I'm gonna swatch that again right underneath it. I think I had a little debris on the pencil because it's looking fine now. It's very smooth, nice and opaque. Feels more like a gray than a blue to me. I will be doing some drawing demos on craft colored paper after the swatching. If anyone is interested, Ink Blue 3720. This is one of the original colors, I believe. Unless I'm thinking of it from Lightfast, but I think this was in the original. Maybe not. Now I'm looking at it, it looks more teal. Uh, that's a pretty color. Very nice. All right, we're going to start our next column here. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll turn. Oh, can I do this without getting confused? Maybe I'll turn it so we can still keep everything. Does that better? No, that's not better. I can't write sideways. I'll get confused. That's not better. Yes, all the original 24 colors are in here. Let's see. We just did 3720. We're up to ash blue. And this is color 3740. Oh, this one's nice and smooth. It's kind of like got a little bit of a green undertone to it. Oddly, it's got a kind well, blue green, I would say, but it definitely feels like more of one of our gray tones. Up next is smoke blue. 3810. I'm gonna grab my other pencils. I'm curious. Well, then again, this is one of my old sets, so I'm just wondering what the color ranges are here. Now this is smoke blue 3810. Yep, same color, same numbers. And that is very similar to the color we just swatched, except this color's got a little bit more saturation to it. On black, it looks about the same though. Got a little bit more saturation on white. Now we have, oh wait, we just did smoke blue. We have fur green. Now it's funny because I'll recognize some of these numbers, some of these colors from other Derwent ranges, and the colors are just more saturated in the other range. This is 3900. And it's, look at those two. Those are incrementally like the same undertones, just incrementally darker. Well, thank you for the super chat, Christy. Boy, that pops right up in bright orange. That's very kind of you. You certainly don't have to do that, but I do appreciate it. Fur green. That's it's still got that beautiful smoky green gray tealy undertone, and it just is one step darker the than the previous one, and that was one like not even a full step darker than that one. Then you got this color over here at the bottom of the swatch. I think that those would blend together really nicely. I'm thinking that I might take one of my older set there, and I'm thinking maybe I will take a knife and just try to preserve all the lead and just take the wood off so that I can have like a larger stick for filling in. You know what they should do? I'm sure they don't want to hear my opinion because they just released this, but I think they should do a set of blocks. Would that be great? Like if they did a set of blocks of the pigment, like almost like a Conte crayon of just the pigment. Wouldn't that be cool? But then again, I mean, these two have really thick leads. We probably don't need to, but boy, that would be. I hate to sharpen away any of it because it's so good. Spruce green 4000 is a color. Are we gonna go once? Oh, we're going maybe like half step darker in value, but we're scooching over to green now. That's got a more green undertone. These are subtle. I think if you like subtlety in your work and you like those very soft gradations of color, you're gonna love these. If you're someone who must have vibrant, poppy, bright, I don't know if these are going to satisfy you, but this is a beautiful palette. Distant green. What a great name. Maybe there's some good names here. 4100. Oh, that's like a seafoam, a beautiful seafoam green. I love that color. Almost like an aqua teal color. Let's see how she does on black. Loses a bit of saturation on black, it seems to. I bet if you layered this over something like that on black, it would. Well, let's try it actually. So I've got an extra little scrap here. So that was 3720. Let's see what ink blue. See how this would look. The blending's a piece of cake with this. Yeah, that makes a much more saturated tealy color just by layering up those colors. But that was 4100 distant green there, and I mixed it with ink blue. And if you got some pencils you need to swatch at home, and go ahead and get them out. Sometimes it's fun to do something like this when, somebody else is doing something. This is pale cedar. Now that sounds like, did we have that color before? Yep, we did have that. And look how long that one is. Apparently it wasn't a favorite. Pale cedar. Let's sharpen that up. And that is number 4125. Oh, now this is much more yellow in undertone. You can see that if you compare those two right there. If you're watching this on a phone or a tablet, you can pinch and zoom in to different parts of the screen if you want to. That's almost exactly the value of that paper. Has more of a brown undertone. When you're looking at the black, it has more of that greeny, yellowy green undertone when you're on white. Probably has to do with the transparency of the pigments that they used, why you can see it on top of black sometimes and sometimes you can't. We have green shadow now. That's number 4135. That's looking familiar. I think we had that one too in the original. Very pretty, almost like a flannel gray. Let's see how it does on black. I would say its undertone actually, it looks the same on black. Yeah, I think the undertone, I think it keeps its saturation on black pretty well. It is a muted color, but it does keep its saturation. I mean, because you might be somebody that always works on black, so you want to just get very opaque color. You might work on white, so it doesn't matter at all. This is Crag Green. This is one of the older colors too, I believe. 5090. Very similar to the what was it, Pale Cedar? Yeah, Pale Cedar. A little bit browner, a little bit darker. We'll see what the undertones look like on the black. It's more saturated on black, though. I like that color on black a little bit better. It does hold its color. All right, we're halfway through the swatching. We're doing good. Now we're going to go to our next row, and we have fresh green. Oh, now look how bright that one is. Let's see if it holds its color. This is color 5095. And remember, there is a replay. If you're coming in late, you can watch the replay afterwards. Wow, that I was hoping there would be something like the meadow green that they do in the graphitin, and now that they've expanded, and that reminds me of the meadow green. This is called fresh green, by the way. Um, that is so vibrant. I hope it's opaque. I don't know though. It's pretty bright. Let's see. Wow, look how opaque that is. That is nice. That is so opaque. It's hard to get a really vibrant color. Your more vibrant colors tend not to be opaque because the more vibrant a color, generally the more transparent it is. But that is really nice and vibrant. I would say that's a must pick for if you're picking and choosing for open stock, because regardless of what color you like to work on, it shows up really well. All right, we got more greens. I'm so glad there's more greens in the frame. This is moss green 5100. I thought we had a moss green before, but maybe we didn't. We had an olive earth. That's what I was thinking of. Okay, moss green. I probably sharpened it too pointy. 5100. I love a moss green too, because I love those natural greens and pencils, because it's just more difficult to mix dry media than it is like paint. That's a really nice one. I'd say this would be also one to grab open stock. Oh, I'm getting really excited about using these. Look how opaque that one is too. Yep, that's a must-have. I think that's definitely a must-have. I'm so glad they're doing these open stocks. I can tell you what colors right now that I'm gonna be using up first, and those 2 greens right there will be, and probably that seafoamy color. Yeah, those will be used up really really quickly. Although there's a lot of pencil there, so they shouldn't be. Light moss. This is really pretty too. It almost has it. Well, it does kind of look like lichen. So 5110. And I'm saying the numbers in case you're keeping a list of colors you want to order open stock. I will scan this and post it on my blog. And maybe on the community area. I don't know if I can get a big enough file in the community area, but I'll take a photo of it for the community area anyway. Hopefully you'll be able to zoom in. The lighter colors, it's hard to see. That's why I wanted to say them out loud too, so you would be able to write them down if it's too pale to read. I know my handwriting is not the best. That's a lovely one. It kind of feels a little bit streaky on white paper, but it's nice and smooth on the black. So maybe it's just this drawing paper might have a little more texture, or maybe I'm going over. I have like this is cardstock I glued down, so maybe I was on top of another piece of cardstock. It just felt like it was a little bit streaky there, but it's fine on the black, so it's probably just an anomaly on my paper. The next color is green earth. I think that's a color we've had before. This is number 5120. Oh, this one feels buttery, very smooth. Very similar to that one, 5090. This is 5120. Well, that's really nice on the black. So let me see. That one is really close to that one, but it shows up better on black. So let me look at what 5090 was. So very similar to Crag Green, but I think that this is a smoother formulation and is also more opaque. Well, they're both opaque, but this one keeps its saturation on black better. So if you're trying to do a limited palette and pick the best for working over dark, I think Green Earth is better than Crag Green. If you're an original Derwent drawing pencil user and you had that color, you might want to consider when you use that one up, picking up the Green Earth and just swapping it because I think the color is very similar. It's similar enough that you could interchange them. This color is rainforest, and I know we've seen that one in another one of their ones. Oh, Sonia says the color chart's available on their website now. Oh, that's great. I didn't know. I should have printed that out. 5130. I didn't see that. I only saw their original 24 colors, but I didn't click on any um on any charts or anything. I like to when I get a tin of pencils from Derwent, I like to print out their color chart because it has all their light fastness information on it too. And then you've got the names and color numbers if you need to reorder. It's just keep it right in your tin. And I store my pencils in the tins. This is really smooth and really saturated. I like to keep my color charts in the tins because then I have everything right there. And then when I'm using them, I generally will put them in little yogurt jars on my desk just because they take up less space, and then I put them back in the tins when they're done. Because I mean, I don't want to buy something else to store it. And if I didn't have so many pencil sets and so many pencils, I probably would just leave them all out. But this is sage leaf. That's a pretty color. Looks familiar. Is that? Looks kind of looks. Oh, what's this one right here? Looks kind of like Green Shadow. No, I guess it's a new one. All right, this is number 5140. Oh, this is smooth. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so pretty on if you like to do landscapes and you like to paint like evergreens. Look at that. That's going to be such a nice combination. And it is quite a bit different than those other greens that we had. I thought it looked kind of similar, but oh, that's a beautiful winter green, wintry green color. That's really nice. Oh, you know what? I could grab that my original swatch. I think that might be handy because then we can compare those original colors. Yeah, it's kind of similar to those two, but it's got more color to it. It's more saturated, less muted. All right, this is Olive Earth. We have had that one's been in the set already. This is one of my favorites. 5160. It's a beautiful green, very muted. It has a yellow undertone to it. And by that I mean like if you look at the color, see how it looks more like yellow than and these look more like blue? So that's what I mean when it's got an undertone. When I'm saying undertone, it's kind of like the secondary color that we see. First, we see the mass tone or the main tone, I should say, whether it's like red, blue, purple, whatever. And then you'll see what other colors make up it or what color, which way the color leans. So, like this green leans more towards yellow, that green leans more towards blue, that green leans more towards blue. And then you might have two colors next to each other. They could both be blue leaning greens, but one will be a little more blue and will be a little bit more yellow. It's nuanced and it's contextual. It depends on what other colors you have around it. Warm earth. 5550 is a number. This is very smooth. This looks familiar. This be one we had before. I don't pay much attention to the color names when I'm working, so that's why I don't have it at the. It does look like that. Let's see. Is that a color we had before? And I hate writing out names of things. Yeah, warm earth is a color we had before. That's a nice one too. Yeah, we'll have to look at that set and see which ones are the shortest, and then I can tell you what colors I use the most. This next color is woodland, and the color is 5600. Just to remind you, when I'm done swatching these, I will take questions and type your word question in all caps, followed by the question written normally, so the spam filter doesn't kick it out. This is a beautiful milk chocolate brown. It keeps its saturation on black. That's a really nice opaque all around color. Woodland 5600. Dark brown is up next. 5650. Oh my gosh, could I have written that any sloppier? This is kind of like a grayed down brown. It's a not a very saturated brown. It's a lot more. It doesn't have a lot of color to it. It might be nice for when you want to neutralize something or you want to shade something and not impart a lot of color to it. It's very opaque. It definitely feels more like a sepia type color. See how that has more orange in it? That brown has more color, and this brown is less chromatic, has less color to it. And that's just what I mean about saturation is how much color you get in it. Brown ochre 5700. I think this is an old one too. Derwent does beautiful ochres. Their yellow ochre tones are so stunning. When I first tried, because like what I'll do before I buy a full set of something is I'll either buy a few colors open stock or I'll buy a small set And when I first discovered the Derwent Lightfast pencils, I got a set of 12 to try them out, and I used the heck out of those. And they had like two colors that were like yellow ochres, very very similar to each other. I used them both like down to stubs, so they do really beautiful yellow ochres. Look at that, so smooth and saturated. That one's called brown ochre. I do think it's one of our colors we've had before. I'm gonna double check though. I don't want to tell you wrong. Yep, brown ochre was in the is in the set of 24. And honestly, the prices of the set of 24, the prices of the open stock too are so good right now on Blick that if you're not sure, I would say just get the set of 24, get the, or even just the set of 6 and see what you think. This is wheat. That's one that's been around. This is 5715. But I know recently I saw the sets of 24 around $70 on Amazon, and I think they were in the 60s on Blick. So I think they're just dropping the price to get them moved out so they have room for the new sets. And plus, once they release a bigger set, the smaller sets don't sell as well. So hey, snag yourself a deal if you don't want the bigger set. So this color, and something I've noticed with some of the older colors that we've noted and some of the newer colors, is some of the older ones aren't quite as opaque, which is crazy because like that I'm noticing this because I always consider them to be some of the most opaque pencils, but the newer tones they've brought in are even more opaque on black, and that's really exciting. But you can see how the wheat looks more white on black and it looks more creamy on the white, and it also looks doesn't look as creamy on the tan. But that's one of the older colors, so I wonder uh if that might be why. We'll have to see if we get into some more creamy colors how they differ. This next color is light ochre, and I think this is one that we've had before. Let me sharpen her up. Hope you guys all have your want monsters locked up in their cages. Light ochre. Did we have light ochre before? We had yellow ochre. Maybe, no, I guess we didn't have light ochre. This is a new color. Let's see what we got. 5717. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, it's smooth. Oh, look at that. It's like a beautiful, perfect Naples yellow. It's like the color of warm beach sand. Oh, it's so smooth. It's so creamy. And it's saturated on black. I mean, for that color, it doesn't change that much on black. Not quite. It is a little bit more colorful on the white, but I feel like you look at that compared to wheat. Look at that on black. That's just something you consider if you always use black. Um, you might prefer this color because I bet you could add that color plus white and get that tone. And also, it's very similar to, let's see, it's very similar to champagne. So let me see. This is champagne, and this is wheat. See, champagne and wheat look identical on black, and they look pretty close on white. Champagne's got a little bit more yellow to it. And then this is light ochre. Light ochre is much more creamy, but on black, champagne and wheat look identical. So just, I don't know if that's helpful for anyone, but I know it, you know, we got to watch our pennies, right? We got to watch our pennies. So we don't want to buy things that are too similar. I mean, I want to have all the colors, let me tell you, but uh yellow ochre. We've had that color before. And let's give it a quick sharpen. But also, if you always work on black, you want to have stuff that's going to work on black. And not be redundant. 5720 is this number, and the color's yellow ochre. Oh, this one's nice and creamy and smooth too. So beautiful on tan. I mean on gray. Full tan too. And it looks good on black as well. It doesn't look quite as saturated on black as white, but it does. But again, this is also a very smooth cardstock. I do want to keep bringing that up because if I was on a more textured surface, the colors would seem more vibrant, but I want it to be on smooth surfaces. So if there's, so it's not kind of like overselling the pencils. I want it to be very like what you probably have at home and what you probably would be working on. And this color is sepia, red leaning sepia. Sepia. And this one I think we had, I think this one was in the old set too. 6110. So we got a nice warm sepia here, kind of chocolatey looking. It's got kind of that if you steep a strong bag of orange pico tea, that's the color of this. Oh, and it's beautiful on black. Look at that on black. Oh my gosh. That is one of the most opaque browns I've ever seen. So that's red sepia, the red shade 6110 if you're looking for a nice opaque brown. We haven't even done the Chinese white yet. Oh my word. If you've never seen that before, you're gonna lose your mind. That's such a beautiful white pencil. This is Mars Orange, and I believe that's one we've already had too. 6210. Yeah, this is one we've used before. Very smooth, nicely saturated, nicely pigmented. They're all nicely pigmented. Super opaque on black. Now, these are older colors and they're very opaque on black. So maybe it was just the really pale tones. I was finding like some of the newer pale tones are more opaque than the older pale tones. And keep in mind, there's also a certain amount of subjectivity for anybody using an art product. This is Sanguine 6220. I like the order they've put these in the box in. I didn't reorder them, obviously, we opened them together. Now this is a step darker than the Mars Orange. Those would be good blending combinations. I know we have a variety of folks that watch the channel from fine artists um, to card makers, to coloring book enthusiasts, to sketchbookers, and we all have different needs and we all have different preferences. That's Sanguine. Was Sanguine an old color? I think it might have been. Let's see. 622. Let me take a quick peek. Yes, Sanguine. Boy, that's a lot. I'm surprised I didn't use that one that much. That one's one of my longer ones. 6220 right there. That's a pretty color. Next up we have Venetian Red, which I also think is an older color. I'm gonna need to empty my sharpener soon. Let's see, 6300. Now, one thing you might notice with these pencils is that they do feel a little bit drier, and sometimes it can feel a little sticky, like they want to grab the paper a little bit more than, say your typical color pencil like ChromaFlow or Color Soft or even Derwent Lightfast, which are a little bit smoother and slicker feeling. I think there may be some like clay in this formulation that might be why they're so opaque and earthy and luscious. I don't know, but they can kind of stick and feel a little drier. But I wouldn't say they're rough. They're definitely not scratchy. This one's beautifully opaque. And I believe that's one of the older colors too. Yeah, I think it is. Yep, that's one of the older colors. I mean, they were bangers in the old set, so you don't have a color that you're going to regret in the older set. This is terracotta and 6400. I wonder if they do use clay. They probably do use some sort of clay in the makeup of the pencil. Definitely using these beautiful earth pigments. Oh yeah, this one is beautifully opaque as well. Very smooth and opaque on that smooth black cardstock. I think that's one that we've had before too. Yep, terracotta is an older color. All right, this one looks like one Mars Violet. This is also an older color. I'm going to give it a quick sharpen. 6470. And it's a kind of a, oops, I'm sorry. Gotta push that up a bit. It's kind of a taupey purple, taupey violet, like very dusty tone, very dusty, earthy tone. Nice and smooth and opaque on black. And it doesn't lose its saturation on black, which is nice. Beautiful color. Next one is Ruby Earth. It's another one from the older range. And the color is 6510. And so this was as like kind of as vibrant as you got in the older range. Very opaque, beautiful color. All right, this is what we've got so far. We've got not too much left to go, but I'll show you that so far before I switch the swatch over. Beautiful range. Next up, we have chocolate. I believe that's an older color as well. And 6600. You know what? I can zoom in now because we don't have that many left to do. This is so dark brown that it's almost black. It's like a very warm black brown. And it is quite opaque, but it is close in value to the black, so it doesn't show up as well as it does on the tan and the white. And I didn't sharpen these needle points, so we'll see the texture of the paper. Next color is ivory black. I believe that's an older color as well. 6700. That's nice and smooth. I'm not using a tremendous amount of pressure either. That's another thing I want to bring up, that you don't have to use a lot of pressure for these. They're all quite soft. But because there's different pigments used, some are going to feel a little different than others, but overall the range is very soft. Our next color is Midnight. I think this is a new one. 6710. And boy, this might have a little bit of a blue undertone to it, but it's pretty dark. It's pretty, almost like a Payne's gray. Very subtle blue undertone. The values are so similar to the black paper that it's not really showing up. Now we have Forest, which is kind of a black green, it looks like. 6720. You can kind of see, hopefully, especially so since we're zoomed right in, you can see the undertones there. It's got a almost like an olivey green undertone, but I'd say there's definitely black pigment in there because it's very dark. And of course, it's going to be hard to see on the black, but you can actually, it's kind of easier to see the undertones on the black. You can see that green undertone. Next, we have Mist. I think Mist might have been an older color. This is 6730. I'm pretty sure this is one of the older colors. Very opaque. Let me see. Is it? Oh, maybe not. It looks like the Solway blue. But you know what? I guess not. It looks very similar, but I think it looks very similar to the Solway blue. But it looks to be a new color. Next, we have platinum. And this is 6740. I did put some more information of these pencils on my blog. For some reason, it wouldn't let me add it. It wouldn't save the changes on the YouTube video description here. So I bet a lot of the questions that are being asked may be answered in that. And I think I also posted it in my Substack newsletter that I sent out this morning. But I'm only gonna do two Q&A breaks because I think a lot of the same questions are getting asked over and over again. And I don't want to be redundant for replay viewers. Those two look almost similar. The mist and the platinum look almost identical, with platinum being maybe slightly cooler in undertone, and the mist being slightly more brown in undertone, but they're on black, you can barely see the difference. And on white, you can just see a difference in undertone. Value-wise, I'd say they're about the same. Carbon gray is our next color. And 6750 is the number. Oh, this is pretty. This is a very nice mid gray, I would say. A little bit darker than our toned gray paper. It's almost got like a very soft purple brown undertone to it. Very opaque. I like the opacity in that. It's a lot of grays. Warm gray is the next color. And I hope I can get through the swatching. I've got to empty that sharpener. 77010. This is a nice warm gray. It's almost it's the exact shade of the paper that I'm swatching on here. That's the exact color of that Five Below toned gray. Very opaque, very smooth. Next color is cool gray. I think we might have had the warm gray and cool gray in the previous iteration. Let's just we had cool gray there. Yep, we had cool gray and warm gray in the original 24 line. This is 7120. I appreciate you all joining for this live stream today. I wasn't intending to do two live streams in a row, but I'm like, I'm just too excited. I think this would be really fun to do. So you can just see a very subtle difference in undertone, with this cool gray being a little more blue and the warm gray being a little more yellow. Very similar though. It's more different on white paper. So again, if you use white paper or lighter colors, it would be beneficial to have both. But if you're only working on toned or dark colors, it might not be as advantageous. And you'll have to keep in mind the prices and sets versus open stock as to what the best deal is, depending on how many pencils you want. This one is granite. 7125. I think it's kind of nice that I have an opportunity to swatch them before they're for sale, because that way you can think about it and not have to be like the day they're released freaking out that you have to get them without having time to think about them, because I do think they're going to sell out, just because people have been wanting them for so long and everyone's gonna be all hyped up about it by the time they come out. But you'll have time to like take a beat and think about it and see what's really gonna suit you the most. No, that's a pretty color. It's like a step lighter than the carbon gray. Though, but those are blood. Those are both very smooth, opaque colors. Those would be nice to mix together. I kind of wish that all these grays would be like graded like warm gray 10%, warm gray 20%, warm gray 30%, just so you would kind of more instinctively know what's going to go with what. Um, Especially if you can't see the undertones very well. Oh, this is taupe 7130. I think that's a new color. It's kind of got a bit of a purple undertone, like a violet. It looks kind of like the Mars violet a little bit. A mid-value color. Very opaque, but kind of loses its saturation on the black, though. You can kind of see the undertone is a little bit more purpley here, but it does lose that saturation. So, I mean, like I said, if you're an artist that only works on black paper or really dark colors, having all of those may not be as big of an advantage as it would be if you worked on white paper. Fossil gray. 7140. I'm glad they put them in the box pretty logically. This fossil gray is very similar to the taupe. It's got that kind of violet undertone, just a little bit lighter. You can see that it's lighter on the black much more than you can on the white. It's probably just more opaque is what it is. Arctic. I don't think that one was in the original set, but there is an Arctic in some of the other lines. This is 7145. I gotta do that with a pencil though. That's not gonna show up. Oh, it's got a very, very pale blue undertone. My friends had just got back from Iceland and they shared all these pictures of the glaciers, and they're just like this beautiful blue. I guess because of all the compression and the minerals and stuff, this would be good for highlighting something like that. That looks so bright, like it looks so clean and cool and bright. That would be actually a really handy white to have, I think. This one is oyster, which looks like it might be a little bit pinker in undertone. I'm just gonna write down the number with a pencil. 7155. Oh yeah, look how pink it is. It looks quite pink next to that white paper. This is a color you can also get in the Derwent Light Fast range. That's a very crisp. It looks very. They both look very crisp on the black. And last but certainly not least, probably if you only have one Derwent pencil in general in your selection, it's probably a Derwent Drawing Chinese White. This is a prized pencil amongst pretty much any colored pencil artist I know. It's very opaque, very thick lead, very strong, so you don't have to deal with the snapping and the breaking or picking up your pencil and sharpening it and having it fall out of the pencil like we do with some brands of really soft pencils. This is must-have pencil here. And oh, I better write the 7200. That's not going to show up on the white. Maybe a little bit. It's a little bit brighter than the off-white paper here, but I don't think it's going to show up on camera. Here it is on the gray. And here it is on the white. It is such a beautiful opaque colored pencil. And that's the thing. A lot of artists use other pencils mainly, but they have the Derwent Drawing Chinese White as their brightest, most opaque white. And that's the thing to remember about your colored pencils. You can use them, you can intermix them. If you are an artist who is making artwork that you know you want to hang on the wall and display in areas that are going to um, receive sunlight, you're going to want something that's light fast. And there are several brands of light fast pencils out there. Um, Derwent Lightfast has a vibrant range of light fast color pencils. The Derwent Drawing is a more muted range of light fast pencils. You can mix them together and not worry about them fading. There's other brands that provide light fast pencils. And one thing that I would recommend is if you're a serious colored pencil artist, if you join the Color Pencil Society of America, and I'm not affiliated with them or anything, but they do independent light fast testing for all of the major brands. Now, you're not going to find you might find some, but you're probably not going to find too many of the the new white label companies you see on Amazon, but you're going to see all your legacy brands on there, and you can see what the what colors are light fast within every range, and you can put together your own set of pencils just by buying open stock colors that are light fast and make your own specific collection. So that would be something I'd recommend is getting a membership to them if you're really curious about light fast colors. There's also a website, and I'll have to remember if anybody knows it, please pop it in the chat. um, maybe it's artistmaterials.org or something. I don't know exactly, but it comes up sometimes when I'm searching pigments, and they have like fast ratings and pigment information for a lot of brands. It's not as in depth as the Color Pencil Society of America's. And I don't think you have to be an American to join it. I think anybody can join it. It's just a membership fee, but that would give you access to all that information if that's important to you. And yeah, how gorgeous is this? All right, we're going to take a break for Q&A, and then we're going to do some drawings. So if you're just catching this, you can go back and watch the swatching if you want to see any of those colors swatched out. And you can skip ahead if you don't care about the Q&A, and we'll do some sketching. And I'm not going to repeat answer questions. So we'll do questions in this batch, and then when I do the final batch, if there's repeats, I probably won't re-answer them. Um, but the chat is so helpful that I'm sure people can help one another if a question that I've already addressed comes up. So if you have a question, type the word question in all caps so I will see it. And I just minimize my screen again. And I'm going to look for those questions. And if I miss your question, though, if it didn't get addressed, you can go ahead and pop it in again. Okay, I get a question from Barbie. She says, "Hey, Lindsay, the new color cubes have been announced. Are you an affiliate?" Oh, there's new color cubes. I didn't even know that. Yes, I am an affiliate for Sarah Renee Clark. That's a off-topic question, but yeah, the color. Oh, I didn't know there were new color cubes. That's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out. Uh, Boy, you guys have been chatting up a storm. I'm just looking for the word question in all caps. So if I do miss your question, that might be why. Virginia Bush asks, I wonder if there's a pre-made comparison chart of colors listed. I'm wondering how I'm going to compare colors and not purchase duplicates. I hope this makes sense. Um, if you go to derwent.com, Sonia said their color chart's up, and on their color charts, they have columns, and it is like a little dot, and it tells you what colors are in what sets. So if you have the 6 set or the 12 set or the 24 set, there'll be a little dot next to that color for what sets it's included in. That would be the best way to do it. Or when you're ordering, if you have your set in front of you, you just write down all the colors you have, and when you're ordering, just make sure you're not ordering the same name and same color number. And it'd be a good excuse to get your colors out and swatch them and play with them and get to know them a little bit better before you decide if you want to upgrade and get some more. I think, if you know you love these colors, getting the set of 72 and having that for your home set and the set of 24 for your travel set would be a good option, or having the 24 set in your little travel pack where maybe you keep a bag by the couch or someplace you're in the car or whatnot, so you always have something to create with while you're going. That's kind of what I do when a bigger set comes out and I already have the smaller one. Tess Walker asks, and I'm sorry if this was asked and answered already, did the Derwent drawing pencils take the place of any others? Um, the Derwent drawing pencils are kind of their own thing, but I think they're probably most similar to the Derwent Lightfast pencils. The difference is being the Derwent Lightfast feel a little bit more slicker, they're a little smoother, and the color range is more vibrant. Colored pencils in In general, colored pencils are a mixture of pigments, a binder, and you could be which could be wax, oil, or a mix of the two generally. Usually a little bit more wax or a little bit more oil for an oil base, a little more wax for a wax base. It can have some clay in it, might have some chalk in it, but it's generally pigment, filler and binder, and it's in a casing. And so some pencils are going to feel a little drier if they have more clay. Some pencils are going to feel a little bit slicker if they have more wax. Some pencils are going to be more opaque if they have more wax. Some pencils are going to feel harder if they have more oil. And so every pencil is basically a combination of the same ingredients in different proportions. And it really just it comes down to what you prefer, honestly. Something that I might love, I love a softer pencil. Other people love a harder pencil. But that said, I also like the Pro Color pencils for details. It depends on what you're going to use them for. It depends on the surface you like to use. It depends on what the purpose of the picture is are you creating only to scan and reproduce? Are you creating to sell originals? Well, those are two different categories. If you're creating to scan and reproduce, you can use alcohol markers in Derwent Pro Color, and it's going to scan beautifully, and it's going to be great for reproduction. But some of those colors will fade. If you are somebody that's selling original artwork, then you need to ignore all those vibrant colors in the cheaper sets because they're going to fade on you, and you need to stick to light fast colors. It's it just depends on what you like, honestly. I don't wanna sell you stuff that you're not gonna use, and you just gotta that's why buy a couple, buy, like, 2 or 3 pencils and see how they feel, and they're all gonna work with each other, they're all gonna be compatible with one another. That's what I would do before I'd buy a big set, is make sure you like the feeling of that pencil before you get too crazy about it. And I mean, I love Derwent products. I love the drawing line, but I just I don't wanna get anyone, like, worked up in a lather that they have to have them and have it not be what's right for them, because 'cause we're all different. We can create art with tomato ketchup and mustard packets if we had to, you know? Ellen Goodman asks, "Have the complete set of the Derwent Lightfast series." Oh, I have the complete set of the Derwent Lightfast series and love them, especially on top of gouache. I have the original set and enjoy them also. Would these be redundant? Um, well, you know what? I could grab my swatch of the Lightfast. You're gonna find the Lightfast range is more vibrant. Your purples, your reds, your pinks, you're gonna have much more vibrant colors in the Derwent Lightfast range. These are wonderful working on top of watercolor and gouache in a mixed media fashion. If you already have full ranges of those colors, you might just want to see where you're missing. Like swatch them all out and put them all in a row and see where you have gaps. And or maybe you're like, oh, I have a bright green, but it's not very opaque and it doesn't work very well on top of my gouache paintings when I want to add some leaves over a dark background. Well, then you can pick up these two greens, which are just gorgeous. They're very opaque. These colors are all very opaque. So maybe what I would do in your case, since you have so many pencils, is I would swatch them all out on black and I would see what colors are not keeping their saturation on black and then find those colors in the Derwent drawing if you know you don't need a whole set. And then if you find out that there's 50 colors that you want, then you may want to compare the cost of open stock versus the cost of just buying the set of 72 because it might be equivalent and then you'd have all those extra colors for no additional cost. Um, we're all different. We're all different. It's so hard to say because you're going to have overlap in anytime you're buying a full set of pencils, you're going to have overlap with other sets. And as long as you have a good range of values and a decent range of colors, you're going to be able to create good artwork. Colored pencils blend a bit. They're not going to mix as well as like watercolor paints, but they're uh, you know, they're there's only so many ways they can combine pigment, wax, and oil and develop different colors. You just got to make sure you've got what you're going to use in your stash. Okay, got a couple questions here. Barbie asks, are these like the graphitin pencils? No, graphitin are a water soluble pencil that contain graphite and like a dye. They're not as light fast as these. Some colors are fugitive in the graphitin line. I mean, these do not contain graphite. They contain pigment and wax and binder, and maybe a little bit of oil. I'm not exactly sure of the full makeup. That's for the scientists to know. and asks, what's the difference between these and ChromaFlow? Well, they're both a wax-based pencil. ChromaFlow is got more vibrant colors because that's really ChromaFlow, I think, was designed to be more of an equivalent to a Prismacolor pencil and it was originally going to be marketed to countries that don't have Prismacolor. Like I think they were launched in India first. They're a lower price pencil. I think the ChromaFlow are about 90 cents a pencil and they got super saturated, vibrant colors. Actually, the light fastness on the ChromaFlow is not bad. So if you wanted to be bougie on a budget, you could go to the Derwent.com website and Derwent.com website. What is this, like 1995? Do you know how the internet works, guys? Um, and download the ChromaFlow color chart and download the Derwent drawing chart. And you can look at the Lightfast ratings. So what you want is they do everything but the Lightfast pencils. They use the Blue Wool scale, which is a 1 to 8 rating. So what you want is colors 6 and up. And I believe all of these are all 7s and 8s. So when you're looking at the ChromaFlow range, you'd want to look for those pencils that are 6, 7, and 8. And you could like take those colors and know you'd have a reasonably light fast color. You know what I mean? But some of those colors are going to be like 3s because they're super vibrant and the pigments just aren't available at that budget price in a light fast formulation. So that's the big difference, I would say, the light fastness, but ChromaFlow does do pretty well. ChromaFlow is very soft, softer than these. They're going to wear down a lot faster because there's not as much lead in them and they're so soft. But you could use them together, absolutely. The big difference would be the size of the lead, the sturdiness of the casing. They're a thinner pencil. They don't have the build quality that these have. That's why they're available to be sold at a lower price point. And you're getting less lead. So they're still a good pencil, but they're going to be more prone to snapping because they are so soft and the barrel is not as thick to protect them. But that would be the big difference, I would say. They're fun. They're good. I like to use them all. Unfortunately, I rarely meet a pencil that I don't like unless it's weak and scratchy. And I will, do the questions that have come in after I've started answering them. So don't worry, I'll get to you as long as that word questions in all caps and I can see it with my aging eyesight here, my progressive wearing aging eyesight. I'm really excited to start drawing with these. Okay. Thanks to my moderators that are there helping and folks in the community that are helping people with their questions. Basically, I mean, this is exciting. We're all really excited to see this. But I know sometimes when we all get really excited, we can let the want monster loose and we can become obsessed and we can be like, well, I'm going to miss out. If I don't just order them on day one, we're going to miss out. And then I'm going to feel bad. But then they come and you don't use them. And then, oh, I bought these and I'm not even using them. Now I feel bad. That's not what I want happen in my community. I don't want you guys worked up in a lather, frothing at the mouth to buy these. And then they sit on the shelf and they collect dust. I want you to thoughtfully think about what colors you're going to use. Or maybe you're like, you know what? I want more than half of them. I'm just buying the set because I think it's going to be cheaper in the long run. I want you to get what's right for you and get supplies you're going to use and not supplies that you get and you're like, oh wow, I spent so much money. Now I feel ashamed. I spent so much money. Now I don't want to use them because I feel bad because nothing I make is going to be worth it. These wear down very slowly. I've had this set for probably 10 years, and granted, I have another set of these that I, intermittently use. They wear down slowly, even for a soft pencil. So I just want you to get what's gonna make you create. Virginia Bush asks, what's the difference between these and the ink tents? There's several differences. The ink tents are a water soluble product. They're very vibrant. So if you were to do, say, say you were going to do a drawing with ink tents and you add the water to them and you dissolve them, then you can work over them with other media without them coming up. Ink tents in general is not a light fast product. Some colors will be light fast and some won't. So it's something you have to keep in mind if you're going to display them in situations where they're going to receive light. Um, but these are not water soluble. These are not going to move in water. Do I have a water brush here? I probably do somewhere. Uh, Yes. So if I were to add water, I mean, I might get a little bit of movement, but let's just take a couple of these colors. Look, I'm adding water. These are not moving. If I did that over ink tents, they would be whooshing crazy all over the page. So it depends on what you're looking for in a pencil. Ink tents is also a higher chroma range of colors. So you're getting those bam, colors. That's why, I mean, they're not worried about being light fast in the intense range. Their number one quality is they are vibrant colors, and they're also permanent on fabric. So if you're a mixed media artist that does quilting arts and you want to be able to dye your fabric, draw on your fabric, have beautiful designs on your fabric, the Inktense are going to work. They're more of a dye based inky product, even though they're considered a watercolor product. I guess by technical terms, they are they do bond to fabric where a lot of products don't, where a lot of water soluble products will not. Like watercolor pencils are going to wash out of fabric, but Inktense does not wash out of fabric. Again, it's just one of those. What's your use case? What do you want? If you have Inktense already, you could do an underpainting with Inktense, so, add the water to it, then go over them with this. That would be a really fun way to use them. They're just different products. Oh, Anita, thank you so much for the super chat. That was very kind of you. Absolutely not expected, but that's very nice, and I do appreciate it. You just bought me a couple cups of coffee there, I think. You bought me a couple new pencils. Virginia also asked, what's the difference between a drawing pencil and a color pencil? The Derwent drawing line is a color pencil. It's a little confusing because a lot of times we think drawing pencils and we think graphite, but these are not graphite. These do not have graphite in them. So just to, I know that's a little confusing. Christine Fisher asks, this is a great question. Do you think there were too many grays or are they unique enough to justify the number? Well, let's tear out that second swatch page so we can put them all together on the screen here. Let's see. What's our gray range? Because we do also have these blues that have like it's like a gray with a color. The thing that I'm noticing with these is that we've got grays that have a purple undertone. We've got grays that have a taupey brown undertone. We've got some gray. I would consider these grays with a blue undertone, like over there. Um, I honestly, I wouldn't say there's a lot of grays. I would say I would almost group these a little differently. I think I would when I set up when I set my trays up and I put these in order, or if I was pulling things for a project, like I'd probably put like these colors, the like 7130, 7140, 7155. Those are very similar, like in range and undertone. I'd probably add them over here with my pinks. And I would take like this Arctic and I would take the like this gray here, this cool gray and this cool black, this midnight black, and I would add them over in my blue range because the undertones there, I could use those to highlight or to desaturate or to shadow some of those more vibrant colors. So no, I don't think there's too many grays. Actually, what I think would be nice, and you can find this in the color soft range. I think you can find it in the color soft range. Um, a more a wider variety of just straight grays, where it'd be like, and you know what? I wish a company would come up with. Actually, I think Prismacolor does it. But a set of gray. It would be nice to have this in every single range of pencil that comes out. It would be like a set of gray, kind of like how your graphite pencils come, where you have different hardnesses, but like have a 10%, 20%, 30%, like markers have, like alcohol markers have like a cool gray range, and it would be cool gray 1 to 9, and 9 would be darkest and 1 would be lightest. Something like that in ranges of pencils. I think that would be extremely useful. And then have a warm gray range and a cool gray range. Something like that, so that because all of these grays seem to have an undertone that you would find, which generally, if you're looking at something, unless you're drawing something just in black and white, which you'd probably use graphite for, you wouldn't want those different undertones. So, to make this a really complex question, to probably overcomplicate this answer, I would say no. I don't think there's too many grays, but because the grays all have different undertones to them, and I would probably group them with their parent color, the color that they're most related to, like a violet or a pink or a blue or a brown. I don't know if that answers your question. It's very subtle, and you might not see the undertones very clearly if you're a beginner. They might just look like gray. You have to kind of see them in relation to other colors. So I guess my answer would be no, and I would almost want to see more grays, but more of like a neutral gray or a cool gray range that's just like stepped every, like kind of like the value range goes like on a value card. I guess that's what I would request, and it numbered like a value card would be numbered. But no, I guess not. But some of these colors are very similar, like 7130 and 7140 are very similar. Um, yeah, okay, that probably doesn't help anybody, but that's I don't know. I don't know what to say about that because there's not a lot of mid-tones like these. I guess these two are kind of like mid-tones, and you do have some darks here and the blacks, and then you get the highlights, but you'd be mixing it with other colors too. So I think if you're somebody that wants to work in black and white, I don't think I would recommend these grays. I would recommend getting a graphite set or getting, honestly, gosh, hope Derwent's not watching this. I would say if you want a range of grays and logical grays, go with Prismacolor grays. They've got it broken down 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. Um, that's what I would say if you want a set of grays that are going to be like no nonsense. I don't know if they're light fast though. You'd have to look see who's done light fast testing on those because I don't know about that. But logical wise, they do a better gray range, in my opinion. Hope Durant doesn't doesn't hate me for saying that, but um, Jane asked, "Did you create your swatch pad, or is this something that we can purchase?" I created it. What I did was I took some toned gray paper, some black paper, and some white drawing paper. I just cut strips of the black and gray, and I glued them onto my white paper for my swatch card. And what I would recommend is I wouldn't buy something. I would look in your stash of papers you generally use and make your own swatch card with the dark, medium, and white paper that you usually use because that's going to be more useful to you than anything you can buy. And sometimes I'll swatch a black marker and I'll work over it, but I find that it doesn't quite work as well as actually working on the black paper for colored pencil. So yeah, dig out your cardstock or whatever you have, make your own. It'll work way better than anything you can buy. Oh, this is a great question from Emmy Bears. What are some of your favorite colors so far that you've swatched? Well, let's take a look here. I'm gonna say if I was like, okay, Lindsay, you gotta make a custom set and you can only have 20 colors in it. What would you pick out of this range? Get your notepads ready because I probably won't remember. Let's say it. I would say the standout colors would be 0200. I think that was sunflower. I would say 0600. That's a nice vibrant orange. 0700 is also really nice. That's a more reddish orange. I 1000. Is that strawberry or maybe autumn red? I think it was autumn red actually. Nice crimsony color. But keep in mind, I love really vibrant colors, so that's gonna, you know, inform my decision. These portrait tones are really nice if you like to do portraits. If you don't like to do portraits, then you probably skip those. But I would say, but you know what? I'm saying that these might be kind of nice for highlights, but when I look at the saturation over here, they're not super saturated. I think I would actually just get the Chinese white and I would blend into any of these colors to bring out those lighter tones. Um, and also the other thing I want to go back to the gray, not to beat a dead horse here, but if you are creating, and we're going to be doing some drawing in a couple minutes here when I'm done the Q&A, you're probably not gonna use black. You might use some black for your really dark shadows at the end, but if you're making, say, an orange and you're drawing an orange and you're going to do shadow, you would probably actually get something in like a blue to mix in with that to get your neutrals, your dark neutrals. So you're not necessarily using a full gray range, and I think that's probably why they don't bother putting the full gray range in, um, for something like this. So, and like if you're highlighting, you're not using a light gray to highlight, you're using probably a white and you're letting it mix in with the colors that are underneath. So that's just some, there's so many different theories on why you add what colors to your collection. And there's only so many colors they can do. You put every color in the world, you get one of those sets of 500 pencils, and you either have to make them super low quality and cheap so that people can afford them, or if you're making them high quality, they'd be so expensive that people would still be picking and choosing because it's would just be too costly and there wouldn't be enough difference between each color. And you can nudge these colors a few steps lighter and a few steps darker just by mixing the colors. So anyway, back to colors I would pick. Um, these purples, I'm sorry, 2300, 2400. The thing I like about these two purples, one's a pinky purple, one's a bluey purple, but they don't lose their saturation on black. So I would say those two, absolutely. 2700, that blue, come on, look at that. That is so vibrant on the black. Even 2600 is pretty vibrant and opaque on the black, but that one, 2700, absolutely love it. Then you got these two blues down here, 2900 and 3000, also super vibrant on the black. And we didn't really have much for blue in the original 24 range, so I'm really excited about those. Um, these tealy blues are very similar, but I love that 4100. It's kind of like a seafoam. These two greens, probably I'm most excited about these two colors right here out of the entire range, 5095 and 5100. Those are gorgeous on dark. I like to work on dark colors a lot, and those are just unreal how vibrant they are. The earth tones, but they've had the earth tones around for a while. Those more neutral earth tones, all of the earth tones are super vibrant. This 5720 yellow ochre color, gorgeous on black, white, and tan. Um, all their browns, they do such a good job with the earth tones, the sanguines, all of those Venetian reds. They do such a great job with those. We've known that from the Derwent range already. I'm not as crazy about the blacks, to be honest. Um, but the white, Chinese white, is a must-have. Um, their grays are all right, but I think honestly, if you have the Chinese white, if you have a good variety of the colors, maybe let's see what the black is, because I did use the black a lot. Their ivory black, 6700. I've used that a lot. It's a good black. That's a good black. I feel like their black isn't as black as some of the other pencils I've used, like in the Derwent Lightfast and the Derwent Chrome Flow range. But I do feel like their white is super hard to beat. Um, so yeah, I mean, getting any of these vibrant colors in a light fast formulation, I think is pretty exciting. And such an opaque formulation, any of these colors, like those greens, getting greens like that in an opaque formula is pretty exciting. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to ask somebody who loves color so much what like to narrow it down, but I don't know. I guess that's as good as I can do. I don't know if I kept it under 20 or not. um, but anyway, yeah, I've had a few favorites. All right. I think we're probably caught up on questions. Yeah, I think we're caught up on questions unless any just came right in. Boy, that was a longer question break than I intended to, but people can skip ahead if they're not excited. Claire McDonald says, I hope Derwent is watching. They're gonna be like, stop sending that woman stuff. She talks about other brands too much. Phil's R asks, what colors are unique in the drawing range? Well, that's really hard because there are some names I recognize from other Derwent ranges that are more muted in this range, and then they would be in the other collections. Um, gosh, I don't know how to answer that because you're gonna have overlap, you're gonna have overlap in like the Derwent Light Fast range. I guess I would say that if you like the texture of these pencils are unique where they feel a little bit it's interesting. So the texture of these pencils, I would say feel most similar to the Derwent Color Soft range. And then if I had to pick something else that I felt was also similar to this, I would say they almost feel like what a stick of Conte crayon feel like, but not quite as dry. They feel similar to there was a pencil I only have a 24 set of them, and I think they reformulated at some point, and I don't know if I have the new formulation or an older formulation, but Koh-i-Noor had a range, I think it's their is it Progresso or, um, Polycolor maybe? And they just had a dry feeling to it, but they felt drier than this. Um, but these aren't as dry as like a charcoal pencil, but they feel kind of like a Conte crayon, I would say, but not quite as smudgy. They're their own thing. They feel unique. They're very soft, but they're not slidey like a chroma flow is very slidey. Like your pencil feels like it's flowing across the paper. These do not feel like that. So I say because there is such a variety of pencils that you can find, especially in the range that Derwent provides between softness and hardness, smoothness and dryness, you can really find what fits you. But if you don't like a drier feeling pencil, these might not be for you. If you like that drier feeling, that super opaque, almost like it's got a clay to it, these pencils are gonna really hit the mark for you. So it's not so much as color overlap to the other brands. You're always gonna find a color overlap in different lines and different brands. I think it's a combination of the color range and the feel and texture, how hard you have to press. You don't have to press hard for these. So folks with arthritis or strength issues may have an easier time with these, easier time with ChromaFlow, easier time with ColorSoft, harder time with Light Fast, harder time with Pro Color, harder time with the artist. Like the Derwent artist range is very hard compared to these. Um, these I didn't feel like the Derwent Light Fast pencils feel that hard, but they are harder than these as far as texture. It's such a subjective thing, and it's also there's subtle gradients between the ranges, and it's not so much like night or day difference, it's more like times of day difference. Like, do you like morning? Do you like twilight? Do you like dusk? Do you like noon? Do you like mid-morning, mid-afternoon? That's kinda how I feel the differences between the pencils are. Um, and that's the thing, like, I don't wanna say that these are so different or game changer or this or that because I think the differences are subtle between the different ranges, and I don't want to oversell or undersell. It's really hard. I just wanna make sure that I'm sharing the differences enough without making it feel like they're completely different product. They're all colored pencils at the end of the day. This is the green range that we have in the drawing range. I think that we could use more greens, but I think you probably have to step up to the light fast range to get more greens, but this is what we have in our green range here. It's not a lot. Um, but, I mean, I think you could get with because you have this kind of dark, almost phthalo green here, mixing with those, I think you could mix quite a variety of greens, but I think you're probably gonna need to go re and this is probably, I would say from about here to about here is what you've got for greens. It's not a ton. They're not super vibrant except for these 2, but I think you have some good mixing range within that. Um but yeah, I mean, if you wanna step it up and stay light fast, you'd have to go into the light fast range, I would think. Or you could go totally nuts and get some of the more vibrant colors in the ChromaFlow range, which is 150 colors now, which is gonna have a larger amount of colors, but you're not gonna have, um, fully light fast capabilities in all the colors. You'll just have to check because yellow is one of those stubborn colors, and when they make a green, depending on the yellow they use, you could have your green turn blue on you. So just something to keep in mind. I hope I haven't mixed any. And I do not know what YouTube does for advertisements during live streams, so I have no idea. Jim Flack asks, how much color shift can we expect on a tone tan paper? Well, we're going to do some demonstrations on tone tan, but it's probably going to be very similar to the toned gray. And because these are very opaque, I'm not seeing a lot of shift. Honestly, most of these colors kept their saturation on black, and I think that they all kept their saturation on the mid-tone gray. Some just because the values were so similar, just kind of disappear on the gray. But I don't think you're gonna lose your I don't think the color's gonna shift too much on you because of the opacity of these colors, similar to using gouache on a toned surface. Oh, goodness. My gosh, you guys have posted so much. This is wonderful. Um, Eileen asks, have you watched Sketchbook School's video on the 2 costs of buying items? I did yesterday. It blew my mind away. Oh gosh, did I? I think I did. Maybe was he talking about going to the art supply store and buying like one pencil or something like that? I maybe I did. I can't remember. I like his videos, so he has really nice content. I read one of his books, Art Before Breakfast. It was very inspiring. I like Danny Gregory. I was on his podcast once and did a class for his sketchbook school for Derwent, actually. Art Adventure asks, do Derwent pencils have a layering limit? Let's do a quick little demo here with that and see, but I think these are smooth papers. It's going to depend how many layers you get is going to depend on what you are using for a paper. But I'll use the white drawing paper from Derwent. Let's use a vibrant tone. I want to use one of their reds. I love red's my favorite color, so let's just go with the red. I'm going to use, I think this is Roja, Rioja. I think that's a J. Roja, maybe I don't know. I've mentioned it before. Foreign languages are not my best suit, so I'm going to use my feather white light touch here and do my first layer, so we clearly see the grain of the paper. Okay, now I'll do layer 2, still holding far back on the paper, on the pencil rather. We're still seeing plenty of grain. Let's do layer 3. I'm just going to turn my paper so I can go at it at another angle. I don't typically do a ton of layers, so you know, I just want to also clarify that I'm more of a mixed media artist than a straight color pencil artist. That's 4. Look at the color. Oh my gosh, so vibrant. 5. All right, I better start writing 6 because I'm going to lose track. Now, as I get up in layers, I'm going to hold a little closer to the top of the pencil so that it gives it a little more pressure without me having to push down on it. I'm not pushing at all. I'm just going over it. 8. And this is just Derwent drawing paper. I'll show you the cover of the pad. It's nice paper. 9. So it's really going to depend on like filling the tooth. I haven't sharpened the pencil. I am giving a little, now I'm starting to give more pressure. I haven't given more pressure till layer 9. Okay, let me sharpen it and then we'll do layer 10. I'm actually surprised we're getting this much on a smooth paper. And I was just doing lines. I wasn't doing proper little color pencil circles or anything. So, user error. Whoops, shoot, I sharpened it, but then I sharpened it too much and I snapped it. I think that if you're doing detailed work, you're going to waste a lot of these pencils if you try to do your details with it, because you're going to look at how much you lose when you sharpen. You're losing so much of that lead. I would really strongly urge you to maybe have a handful of pro colors for your details so you don't waste your lead. So that was 10. Okay, I'm going to go in here with some pressure and burnish for layer 11. And you know what? There's not a heck of a lot of dust. I'm pretty impressed with that. Okay, so we get 11 layers. That's pretty opaque. If you want to try a little bit of solvent, let's do that while we're at it. I hope you guys aren't bored out of your minds here. These little markers, these are just alcohol markers. These are the ones by Derwent. They are kind of hard to find. I brought these to the trade show to demo with these, and everybody wanted to buy these. And I thought for sure Blick would have them because they're just a little color pencil accessory. Nope, they didn't even have them on their website. Look at this. You could like paint with this. I'm just dragging that pigment off to the edge. Look at how saturated that is. But you could do this with any alcohol marker. Like if you're an avid alcohol marker user and you get those clear markers, the colorless blenders um with your sets and whatnot, you can use any of those. Just dedicate one. I would keep it separate though, because it will build up, the pigment will build up on the tip, and I wouldn't want to go back and forth between that and using pencils. But the neat thing about doing this is that, or you can use odorless mineral spirits, which odorless mineral spirits will actually break it down better. But this breaks down so easily, and I had so much there, I knew the alcohol would be fine. But Gamsol odorless mineral spirits, that is a stronger product, and it will break it down better. So just to give you the heads up there, but it broke down just fine with alcohol. And these are the Derwent ones. It comes in a 2-pack of a fine and a bigger one. I use the bigger one, like the finer one for details. But you can use that to kind of like get the edge on something back, especially if you don't want to keep sharpening your pencils and wasting the lead. That'll work good for that. And if you need to refill it, you can refill it with a strong percentage alcohol, like a or a colorless blender reinker, like a Copic clear blender reinker will work fine for that. But yeah, so on smooth drawing paper, this is what it was. We got 11 layers. I'm just going to show you the pad drawing and sketching paper. Just always make sure you get acid-free paper so your paper doesn't yellow, so your masterpieces. No point using light, fast products if you're using acidic paper. Um, my gosh, 2 hour. We're 2 hours in, and I'm still answering these questions. Let's see. Brittany Daniels asks, with more and more learning going online, why is the pre-recorded video tutorials and lives so popular? I'm asking because I have multiple disabilities, and that causes me to learn differently. Why are the pre-recorded tutorials and lives so popular? I don't understand the question. Why are why are they both more popular? I guess I don't understand the question. Um, I'm sorry, Brittany. I think I think tutorials have been less popular lately, actually. Um, all right. Boy, there's been a lot of great questions. I- okay, I just saw one that I saw before, so Laura Short asks, if you use clear alcohol markers, will it take away from the light fastness? Oh, that's a great question. And I have to say, I am not sure. It's going to be removing the wax. That's why it blends. It removes the wax. So if the pigments are light fast, you should be light fast, but you are removing wax, and the wax is a bit of a protective layer. So, I would say it probably can diminish it a little bit, but the pigments are the number one factor in whether something is going to be light fast or not. And then when you take those pigments and you add them to a vehicle, whether it be gum arabic for watercolors, wax or oil for colored pencils, oil for oil paint, acrylic emulsion for acrylics, that was going to add back in some light fastness to it. But I would say they're going to be as light fast as their equivalent in watercolor. Probably once you add the blending, if you remove some of the wax with the blending marker, you're not taking a massive amount away. So I don't think it would affect it um, a lot. But like if I'm like blending something out really light with the wax, then yeah, what's over here at the edge is going to be less light fast than what's in the middle here. But I think it's not a huge factor. Jess Butterfly asks, what line has the best green range? I hope one of you guys can hop in and answer her question because I'm really not sure. I don't tend to do landscapes in colored pencil, um, so I don't know. If somebody could pop in and ask, what I would recommend is just look at the color charts online. That would give you a good idea of what's in each set. And keep in mind that you're not limited. You don't work for if unless you work for Derwent and you're obligated contractually to only use their products, you can buy pencils from any company you desire and build your own green range. Don't stick to one line or one brand if you want a color that's offered from somebody else, unless you're working for those companies and you have to stay loyal to that. Get the green that's gonna do the job for you. Eileen says it's actually a different video he referenced in the video this week. It talks about monetary cost and the cost of the time using the product. Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, because like I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I mean, I can get good results in with pretty much any medium I choose to use. But you got to put more time in if the product is lower quality, has less pigment, and whatnot to get equivalent results, and then it may fade on you. So yeah, I mean, if you're using a poorer quality product, there's a quote I love, and it's don't force a fit. And what that means is don't force something to work when it's really just not working. It's kind of like you have a pair of jeans you love, but they're two sizes too small. And you could diet obsessively for months, make yourself absolutely miserable so you can fit into those jeans. Hey, who hasn't done it? We've all done it, right? Are we having a good time? No. Or we could go to the store, we could buy a pair of pants that fit us well and that we look good in and enjoy our lives. Right. That's kind of what they're going with, I think, what they're meaning to say. It's like get the thing that's going to do the job for you. Don't force something that's not going to work for you to work for something it's not intended for or it just doesn't do well at. Um, yeah, that's really good advice. Oh, Barbie sent a super chat. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. And I'm telling you, after talking for 2 hours straight today and yesterday, I'm gonna go need to buy myself a hot tea or a hot coffee. Gonna treat myself. You guys are so sweet. You're so cute. Um, okay. Somebody was asking when these are released. It's going to be October 1st. Oh, Laura was asking that. Several people asked that. October 1st. I did put the information that I have on my blog post because I couldn't add more to this description for some reason. Um, oh, something else I want to mention because I was told Blick is going to have these in the the USA first. Blick usually will release things in what I call the non-sale category. So when a product is new and it goes on Blick, oftentimes it's in the non-sale category, which means you can use a coupon on it. And I have a couple coupons for Blick. I put the 15% one off that's good for the next month on my blog. I don't remember it off the top of my head. So just I'm not saying this so I get extra clicks to my blog. It probably sounds super scammy and I apologize, but it wouldn't let me add it to the description here. I don't know if I was out of characters, it wouldn't save my changes. But anyways, I have a coupon code for 15% off if it's not in the sale category. So when these drop, if they drop for 200 bucks, now you save you 30 bucks on the set anyway, if you know you want to right on day one. Um, or I also know that the coupon code prefer, just the word prefer saves 10%. I have no idea. I just found it one day and it's been working. So, but it has to be stuff that's not in the sale category. If they launch these and put them right in the sale category, then no coupons will work. But that's a little hack for shopping at Blick. They usually launch things at near full price, but they're not in the sale category, so you can use a coupon. But sometimes they'll move them right to the sale category and keep them at the same price. Then you can't use any coupons on it. But I have a feeling these are going to be a hot ticket item, and they're going to go in the sale category pretty soon, so that they can't be discounted. But I'll let you know when they drop if you can use those coupons or not. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But then again, also, you'll have time to think about it. So sometimes if the want monster gets a couple of weeks to think about it before you can actually buy it, you cool your heels a little bit, and then you think a little more critically, like, okay, what colors do I need? Or maybe you're like, no, I've thought about it. I want them. I'm just going to be ready with my credit card on day one and just snag them up. Either way, you're going to have the information you need to make a thoughtful choice because you can't buy them yet. So you'll have that time to make the thoughtful choice. All right. I really think that I am caught up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some demonstrating now. I will take another break for Q&A at the end. So if you didn't get your questions answered, or maybe you think something in the meantime, or maybe I totally missed it because the question wasn't in all caps, or I'm a human and I made a mistake, that's probably the most likely scenario. We will be able to address that and get those questions answered for you. Because I know, I mean, these are good. These are not going to be cheap pencils. Let's. Oh, I want to show you something else I did with Derwent that I liked a lot. Um, I drew these hands. My friend Karen was driving me to that trade show, and while I was in the car, I was doing some more practicing with the Derwent drawing pencils, and I drew these hands with the original range of 24, and they're just such a joy to work with. Um, and that's what I would say if you're not sure about the range, you've never used them before. The sets are on Blick are really affordable right now, and you can get a smaller set and play with them. Get the set of 6, see what you think. Get a couple open stock, see if you like the way they feel in your hand before you buy 72. And the range of 24, we've all been using that range of 24 for 25 years and loving them. And, if we've been able to get by for 24 years with these, you can try them out for a couple of weeks before you decide if you want to splurge. I think, if you think you might be getting the set of you might be wanting to get the set of 72, maybe get the set of 6 and then see how they feel before you go hog wild. Because that way you'll have the fewer amount of duplicates, and the duplicates you do have are ones you're probably going to use up anyway. And that's what I will say about Derwent products is that the smaller sets tend to contain the colors that you use the most. So if you do opt for a smaller set, you get to try it on, see what you think, and really use them to death before you upgrade, and they're colors that you're going to use anyway. It's not like some companies that will hide the good colors in the bigger sets. You have to buy the bigger sets to get them, or hide special edition colors and make you buy big sets to get those few colors you can't get any other way. Derwent doesn't do that. They're in it for the long haul. At least they always have been. I hope they always continue to be. But I don't know. I just really loved I loved how those came out. So I thought I would just share them. I'm just excuse me for patting myself on the back a little too much there. But anyway, so I've got some tone tan paper here. I think I might just, I want to put something white on screen so my white balance doesn't go all bon. I'm just gonna actually, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna tuck that right under my computer laptop there. So that will give the computer something to have as a grounding point. And let's look at our little treasure basket here. I went outside and on my walk this morning, I picked up these are leaves right now. Can you believe it? We shouldn't be having that yet. We shouldn't be having fall leaves yet, but that's what we got. I also have I've got this apple. I thought this apple might be kind of fun because we got some bright colors there. Um, I've also picked a couple little asters and little yellow flowers. So I don't know. We'll just have some fun. This coleus leaf. I picked that coleus leaf this morning. I don't know. We could just do a bunch of leaves, I suppose. We just got to pick something. We got to pick something and go for it because I swear, I think this leaf has faded a little bit since I picked it, but I love the little holes in it. Um, so yeah, we've got some options. You guys want to tell me what you guys want to give your input if you're here on the live stream? Tell me what you think. I also have some pears. I picked some pears at mom's house. I have to be careful though because she will not let you leave with any less than 20 pounds of pears because her tree is so prolific. I have a peach too. That's from the grocery store. Sadly, I had to pay for that. It wasn't a free mom pear for her tree. I thought this was kind of interesting because the texture on there, but you know, we're already been streaming for a couple hours, so we may have to you know what? This oak leaf is really pretty. What are you guys thinking? Oh, we got votes for pears. Oh, a lot of pears. We got pear lovers in the house. Okay, you know what? I think we're gonna do a pear. We're gonna do a pear. Let's see. I kind of like the color on that. I like the shape here. I think we'll probably do some leaves too, just because the colors are so nice and vibrant. But you know, we're gonna get to use that gorgeous green. All right, I'm gonna set the pear up in front of me. You know what? I'm gonna have to just take a photo of these and post them on Instagram and probably in the community tab on um on YouTube so that I'm just putting up a few. I'll probably end up just taking a amalgamation of the different. I kind of like how we have leaves on that one though. I like that. I don't want so many leaves. Maybe we tuck some of these guys in the back. But I like how there's leaves. Sadly, they're kind of gone a little brown because I picked them on Tuesday when I went to visit. Maybe. You know what? What if I take tissue, some fancy, and I lay that down there? We laid this pear down. Oh, you know what? That'll work. And I can look at my screen and I can draw it from my screen, and then we'll all be together. We can all draw together. All right, guys, get your supplies. Get your supplies out. Ready, set, draw, right? Um, I've got a pencil. I missed oh, where it is. And where's the rest of the tin? I managed to pull my table all right. All right. I really have a large table here, but I still managed to load it up. I'm afraid that I'll forget some of this fruit in my studio and I'll get a mouse. Okay, so let's start with drawing a pear. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, I think. We got the white on there from the napkin anyway, so we should be okay. So I'm going to start by I'm going to sketch with a brown because I want to make sure it will show up. And I want to do kind of a reddish brown because I think that would look nice. This is Venetian red. That's one of our original colors too. So if you're playing at home with those originals, I got you. I cut a sketchbook in half. I kind of want to, maybe now if we're going to stick with this, I need to focus. All right, we're going to start with our stem right there. And I'm going to get our stem down to this first pear. And I'm looking at my monitor as I'm sketching out the rough outline because I want to make sure I'm at the same perspective as you guys. And I'm just doing very light strokes here. And I think it's going to be fine that I'm doing this in this Venetian red. Plus red makes green more vibrant because they're opposites. So if you have them next to each other and you have some of that color peeking out, it'll look more vibrant. but if you mix them together, they get desaturated, they neutralize. So I think that's why there's not a lot of grays in this range because you have enough colors to neutralize. And if you're going for realism, you're going to be better off to use the opposite colors for neutralization and for shading rather than adding a gray. And I reckon most people that are using this range are very into realism and they're doing like the pet portraits and human portraits. And that's why they want those light, fast, earthy colors. I mean, they're branded the colors of nature, right? So there's a pot for every lid. We're all gonna like different things, and when somebody's saying, "What's the best range of green?" Well, it's like, I need to know what your other qualifications are because, hey, you want the best range of greens, well, have you met Copic markers? Will they fade in 3 months? Yes, they will. So, you've gotta make sure you have the products that are fit for the job you're trying to do with them. Like, I might have this, stem over a little bit, but these are kind of funky, natural, right off the tree pears. They're not professional grocery store pears. You know, they're country pears. They ain't city pears. These are country pears. I'm gonna draw this leaf. We're doing this leaf right here. We're not gonna do all the leaves. And I might make them a little greener because they just died because they were sitting in the back of my convertible in the garage because I was too afraid to bring them in. Because I'm like, oh, I don't know, I'll make it fruit flies if I bring in this much fruit. If anybody has any pear recipes, I would love it if you dropped them in the chat or dropped them in a comment after the live stream. Nothing too complicated. I'm not, Julia Childs over here. Foreign languages, driving, and cooking. Let's list all the things that I'm not terribly skilled at, but I do drive, gall darn it. You better believe it. Unless somebody else wants to drive, then I'm totally fine not driving. Okay, I got this leaf a little bit over too far, but it doesn't really matter. It's a leaf. We're doing a still life. It's not like you're drawing a person if you have the eyeballs in the wrong place. That's why I love still life. I like this little interesting guy, this little leaf up here. We're gonna sketch. Okay, sketch out. I love a leaf that's got like a little chunk taken out of it or something. I think that's. Oh no, we're gonna come off the top of the paper. That's all right. That's all right. We don't have to work within the confines of this whole page. Why they draw it so close to the top? I don't know. For sketching. I love to draw. Don't you love to draw, guys? I'll do this little leaf up here. This kind of it's so funny. I have to look at the monitor because my perspective on this stuff is so different where I'm sitting. And also, if you hold at the end of your pencil, you're going to get a much lighter line, and you're going to have more range of motion, especially if you can draw from your shoulder and not from your wrist. And if you find yourself getting tense when you draw, or maybe you have arthritis, something that's giving you pain when you're creating art, try holding your pencil further back and not trying to burnish, not using the alcohol markers or using Gamsol to get that color saturation will help because you don't have to press so hard to fill in the grain of the paper. You can also do a watercolor underpainting, you can do a marker underpainting, although anything that you put underneath that's going to affect your light fastness because you're probably not going to be covering up. Oh my gosh, let me tell you about this misinformation that I heard. I was at the show and there was another person demoing saying that if you use their light fast brand of pencils, it wasn't Derwent because I was demoing for Derwent, but it was another company saying if you use their brand of light fast pencils that you can just color over non-light fast pencils and it will make it light fast. And I mean, I was first appalled that somebody would advise that because you don't know what they're using underneath and you don't know how much you're letting show and you don't know if they're just going over it with a colorless blender saying that, "Oh, it's light fast now because I used their colorless blender on top." And if I'm using a non-light fast pencil and I'm just adding opaque highlights with the Derwent drawing, those other pencils are going to fade, especially if I just went over it with a really light coating of a light fast pencil. Whatever's underneath there is still visible. If it's still visible, it can still be prone to fading. So I just was appalled that information was being put out there just to sell a product because I mean they were salespeople. They weren't it wasn't an artist saying this, it was a salesperson saying this. And I just couldn't believe that. Well, I guess I'm naive because I just think if you're in the business of selling colored pencils, then you have more than money on your mind. You have things like um integrity and the joy of art. And I mean, because there's the easier ways to make a living than be an art supply company. Why would you say that? And I mean, I don't know if that's coming from if that sort of attitude is from their home base or not, but I don't know. It just I was just appalled, and I felt bad because people were gonna go home and spend time on projects and think that they they were able to save a little money on their base layers, and but they're spending so much on the other pencils, they think they're just gonna be this, like, you know, pencil prophylactic basically that has holes all through it, isn't gonna work. Anyway, I was just appalled. I was shocked. I was shocked and in awe, not in a good way. Alright, so let's start in I think I wanna put some, think I'll start with some of the texture here. I want to get some of those dots. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to press pretty firmly because what I want is it to mark and dent the paper a little bit. And actually, I'm going to put my cardstock underneath that because when you're working in a sketchbook with colored pencils, I like to put a piece of cardstock between my pages so I don't dent the page underneath because then when you try to color over that, it's going to skip. And let's start with this warm earth. Again, I think this is one of the original colors. So if you're playing at home with the Derwent drawing, you're good. We've got this color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pressing pretty firmly. Now look at the tip on this. I don't have a needle point because the needle point is going to snap. I am just going kind of like making these dots. And this is going to do a couple things. It's going to act as a resist, mainly because I'm denting the surface. So it's going to let my next layer skip over that area, but also it's going to take some of the tooth of the paper. So even if it doesn't dent it that much, it's going to it's going to make a waxy, smooth coating that's going to be hard for another color to take purchase on top of. So it kind of gives us like a 2 for 1 bonus here. Well, we'll get to see the range of grains on this for the folks asking about how the greens are here. We're gonna get a good range there. So I'm just kind of pressing pretty firmly and just kind of wiggling my hand to make a larger dot than just what I would make by dotting it. And I'm working pretty quickly because we've already been streaming for 2 hours and 22 minutes. I knew it was gonna be a couple hours at least, so uh I don't have anywhere to be, so we're good. I'm sure you guys do though. And how you guys gonna explain to your bosses why your lunch break was so long? All right, I could do more, but I think I'm gonna stop there. And I want to go with like a yellow ochre color. I want the darker yellow ochre, brown ochre is what it's called. And I want to get those kind of like almost looks like liver spots on the pears. You don't have to press so hard. What we're doing here with this, we don't really necessarily need to make a dent. We're gonna just try and fill the tooth a little bit here where we have these patches of imperfect color. And I always think that your more imperfect things are the things that are more fun to draw. You guys got me hooked on the Portrait Artist of the Year show, and oh my gosh, I just love it. And the biggest complaint that I hear from the contestants is that they want older models because they don't like the faces being so smooth. It's like they're not as interesting. Thank you, Monica, for the super chat. This has been wild. I cannot believe all the super chats. Like, I'm like making a paycheck today, guys. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you. Especially because I'm doing this video so people can save some money and get what they need. I'm like, wasn't expecting that, but it's so nice of you, especially with 3 kids in college. That is super helpful. Now, please keep in mind that you can take as much time as you want, and when the replay is available, you can use the gear to slow the video down, if you wanna go a little slower. You can always slow down, speed up, mute, do all that stuff in the replay. Okay, I think I have probably enough of this color down. I wanna maybe bring that a little bit back there. So before I get too carried away, I want to get some shadow in. So if we look here, this leaf is casting a shadow. Now I never have a ton of shadow on my the still life I set up on my table because I have studio lighting in here, which means I have a lot of lights pointing all over my desk to try to keep the lighting even. But we do have some occlusional shadow, and by occlusional shadow, I mean it's where two objects touch. So if we look right here, we have both of the pairs are touching and see how dark that is? That's our darkest value right there where they meet. You see that there? And then we have some cast shadow. This leaf is casting a shadow right there, so that's pretty dark. And then we also have the cast shadows on our napkin here. It's just a little bit darker. And because it's on a white napkin, it's looking kind of gray. We'll probably end up doing it a darker tone of this, but I don't want to deal with that quite yet because I'm not sure how I want to treat the background and if I'm going to want to put any hints of this color, and sometimes I like to put some fabric around, but I don't know if I'm gonna wanna do this here. I might just let it hover in midair. So I'm gonna think about that. So when I'm looking at what are the colors in this shadow, it's kind of like a desaturated darker green. And I could do this a couple different ways. I could do it with that reddish brown that we sketched in, but sometimes that can be a little too muddy. When I'm looking at this actually with my eyeballs right here, I'm seeing almost like a bit of like an indigo or navy tone here. And we do know that green is made of what two colors? Yellow and blue. So if I used an indigo color here, it's going to not get muddy and it's going to work with our colors. So I'm going to find something that's got a little bit of gray undertone. So we have some choices here. This midnight, which is that black that has a blue undertone for really dark colors, dark cool shadows, this would be appropriate. I don't think I want to go that dark yet. I think I want to hold off on that. Um, let's see. I think we need ink blue. I can find it here. Where is that color? Unless they changed that name. You know what? Did they change? Let's see. Ink blue. I have it in my old range here. I'm just seeing what color it is. 3720. Am I losing my marbles? Do we not have that color? 3720. No, we have it. I just can't find it in my big tray. Oh, right here. Is that? Yep, that's the same color. Okay, yeah, ink blue. I think that's what I want. And for this shadow here. And I'm not gonna saturate the paper because, oh, you know what? Yeah, leaf is, I'm gonna have to add a little extra pair here because my leaf I had it sketched over a little dark, a little further. Um, and she's thank you, Michelle. Michelle just sent me a super chat. Michelle is such a such a fun lady. She came to France on the France retreat. Anyway, she went to Japan and asked me if I wanted her to do some shopping for me. And I'm like, oh, I can't give you a chore on your vacation. And she made me a care package. I did an unboxing of it. Oh my gosh, she found the coolest stuff in Japan and her generosity just knows no bounds. But it's a really fun video if you want to check it out. And I was actually just using some of the pasta markers that she got me in yesterday's live stream. But anyway, long story short, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for your kind super chats. Very, very nice of you. You guys are blowing my mind today. And please don't anyone feel obligated. That's not why I do this. I don't want anyone to feel obligated at all. So this looks a little scary and dark. Don't worry about it and just keep a really light touch when you're doing this. If you keep a light touch, you're going to be able to layer more over it. So, um, especially when you have these dark colors and if it's a high quality pencil, it's going to lay down more color than you may be used to. Just just trust that you're not putting a lot of pressure, so you're going to be able to layer over and blend it in. Now I'm doing a little of this color over near the occlusion shadow. The occlusional shadow is where the objects meet. Just keep that in mind. And it's always the darkest area. Um, because the light gets trapped. The light can't get into those nooks and crannies. And so the nooks and crannies are the darkest. And that's what we have when we have these two touching areas. Now, I sometimes, you put your own spin on things, and I gave myself a little divot there, which I'm going to shadow. It's you can't even really see that from the monitor. That was just me and my artistic license. I'm also going to add some of this up the stem. Now you'll notice I'm keeping my pencils out as I'm using them because actually I didn't keep my red one out. It was Venetian red. I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull that out though. I like to keep my pencils out as I'm using them because, and I haven't used that one yet. That way I will always reach for them first if I have a color there that is suitable. Now up here, we have some dark areas, and I'm going to still stay with the blue because blue and orange are opposites, so they neutralize each other really well. And what brown is really a neutralized orange, and this stem is brown. So that's why I'm using blue up here. And so you're gonna, as we go through this, you're probably gonna be like, "Well, I don't even need the grays. Why would it matter if I had the grays?" And I think as um, if you're doing a chromatic drawing, meaning a drawing in color, not black and white, having a full range of grays is not as important. But I would say if you're just learning and you want to get values first, grays can be very useful for that if you have a good range of grays. But it's kind of two different products, I think. It's kind of two different things. And you can do that with a number two pencil, to be honest, just varying your pressure. So you don't have to spend any money to do that. Uh, I'm just also going to get the tips of these off like discolored leaves, these dead leaves, while I'm at it with this. Because it's always better to mix than to use. And that's the other thing. We're seeing these 72 colors, 72 colors. Wow, that's exciting. We love that. We want to have it all. I do. I want to have all the colors. That's fun. But things tend to look kind of amateurish the more colors you use. You want something to look more realistic and more natural, use fewer colors. Even if you have the set of 72 or you have whatever humongous set of colors, stick to a limited palette. It doesn't have to be the same colors every time. You have the 72 colors, maybe you use 15 colors one day, the next day use a different 15 colors. You're going to have a better outcome by limiting your palette and mixing from those colors. And that's probably why I gravitate to the more vibrant colors because it's harder to desaturate them and you can get a lot more options before they get muddy. And notice where I'm holding. If you are in pain if you're following along and your arms hurt, go back on your pencil. Don't press so hard. Use a smooth paper because a smooth paper is going to be easier to fill the tooth. Now, the downside to that is that you can't put as much down, but the upside is you're not going to, need rotator cuff surgery from your coloring hobby. So just a little word to the wise there. In fact, one paper that a lot of color pencil artists love for its layering ability, I really don't like using for colored pencils because you have to layer so much to get a finished result, and that's pastel mat. I think it's a wonderful paper. I love it for oil pastels, but for colored pencil, and I love the work I've done with it with colored pencil, but it takes so long to fill it up that as soon as I get like about a quarter of the way through a pastel mat colored pencil drawing, I'm like, why did I use this paper? I should have known better. It's like I forget every couple of years. I forget, and I have to pull out the pastel mat and do a colored pencil piece, and then I rue the day. So it goes back to the making sure you're using the products that you like that suit you and your style, and we're all different. So that's why I say get a review from a few different people before you decide to buy something. I saw that Harry from the Art Gear Guide also got a set of these pencils sent to him. So I'm sure he'll have a review out soon. And I trust him to give you the real deal. He's not going to try to sell you something. Um, get a few opinions before you decide to make any major considered purchase like this. And we might not agree on everything. There's been several times where we've reviewed the same product, and we have completely different opinions on it. I don't think his opinion is wrong. It's just his opinion. Opinions are opinions. And maybe you do art more like Harry does art. Maybe you do art more like I do the art. Maybe you do art more like um, Lisa from Lacquer Fine Art does art. We're all going to have different opinions, but we can still respect each other's opinions and realize that we all have different, we all approach art differently and we all make different types of art. So, you know, take it all with a grain of salt and get as much information as you can before you splurge, and then you'll be happy with what you get. And that's what I want, and I'm sure that's what Derwent wants. They don't want people upset that they bought a product that didn't suit them. They want people to get the right thing. You're not going to like everything they make. I want to change that shape a little bit though. Let's see. I always go with my most gentle eraser first, and then if I have to, I'll go to a rougher one. But a white plastic eraser is usually my go-to to start with anyway. Uh, I like the interesting shape of that leaf. I think I had that little angle off a little bit. Maybe I can fit it in there. I think I can. We'll scooch her in. That's better. Something tells me we'll be lucky to finish the pear. I think leaves might be for another day. We'll be doing leaves on our own time. Be doing leaves, watching TV in the art coat with the art cart. This looks like a pincer. Looks like a little crab pincer. Change the shape a little bit on it so it doesn't look so crabby. Still looks kind of crabby though. All right. I don't think there's another leaf back there, but as I'm like doing this, I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna put that in there. I wonder if I can erase that shadow because now I regret that because I was thinking I would sketch another one in. Now I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I want that in there. Okay. What are we at? Um, I think let's go into some greens. Let's do some of those beautiful greens. I'm going to start by glazing. And glazing is just kind of a really light look. I'm going to hold way back here. This is fresh green. Now, obviously, this is a new color, so you wouldn't have it yet. So go ahead and dig in your stash and find a similar appley green color. I'm rotating my pencil as I go, and that's going to help me keep a sharper tip on it. Because I'm just doing a really light layer, if I was gonna kind of do a more dense layer and try to do it all in one go, I would be doing my small ovals with clutched up closer to the tip of the pencil. But that's not what I'm gonna do here. This is a 9 by 12 pad of paper, and I'm working on about half of it. So it's a good size for a colored pencil. So I don't want to get in too tight yet. I just want to get an all over light coating of this color. And I'm going over everything. I'm going over all the shadows, all the spots. So this way, whatever I put on top of it will mix into this color. Now the replay should be available after the live stream. I think I checked that box when I set it up. So if you are watching the replay, um, you can follow along with the chat. I don't know how now when I see something like this, if that's kind of sketchy. I don't know if I really want that line there, so I might want to tackle that before and just kind of remove that brown line where sometimes when you're sketching, you make those hairy loose lines. I don't want to trap that. If I trap that under this layer of pencil, it's going to be difficult to remove. Let me just get a brush so I can brush that away with. Brush those crumbs. There we go. Just watch for stuff like that when you're going, because you get some random lines stuck under a couple layers of pencil, then it can be really difficult to remove. And if you do have to remove it, like you go in with an electric pencil sharpener, it can be really hard to evenly rebuild up those colors. So just don't freak out. If you notice something's not you don't like something, just try to get rid of it. Erase it early because correcting it later can be a problem. I like to have some sketchy lines, so I think it's charming. I like it, but not everybody does. Okay, so we've got a very light coating on the pears. I kind of want to keep working on them. Let's see, we've got this other green. Now, honestly, these pears aren't terribly green, but I would like to get a little bit of this color in. So this little area here on the pear has a little bit darker of a value and it's a little bit more green. And we have a little bit of that like right there, right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some of that in there. I might even exaggerate the green a little bit too, because I do like to push my colors a bit. And it's easier to desaturate than to pump up the saturation. So I'll usually go more vibrant, knowing that I can, when I add highlights, when I add shadows, I'll be taking those colors back a notch. Add some of this over here in this, the edge, and it's going to make it feel a little bit more plump and round if we have some shadow or darker tones towards the edge. I'm doing little circles. I'm down a little bit closer to the tip so I can control the pencil a little bit more. I did not have two live streams in my bingo card this week. I had some people ask if they were if actually I don't know if they asked me or if I just saw it on social media. I might have just seen I think I just saw it on social media. Um Asking if Derwent was gonna do a top-up set like when they first released the Derwent Lightfast pencils, they had a set of 36 and then they did another set of 36 to bring you up to the 72 and then I don't know if they did a set of 28 or if it was Cult Pens or another store that did a set of 28. But somebody did so that you could kind of collect them and not have to buy them open stock. I'm not sure if they're going to do that with this, but I did since I did see some people ask that, I thought I would just address that. I didn't know. Um, because I do have a relationship with Derwent, but I don't have any additional information like that. Usually, I think something like that might be more on a store by store basis. But you know what? I have to say, and there's been I think it's a great idea if you're going to get a discount on the pencils. But if it's kind of a matter of not wanting to bother trying to figure out what colors are new, I would kind of question that maybe if that's the case, you might not be using your pencils enough. You know, and if you don't want to take the time to look and see what you already have for pencils, then maybe it's a complete set syndrome thing and not a actually getting use from those additional colors. So it might just be kind of worth if you put in the effort of figuring out what colors you don't have. I think you would appreciate them more, and you might even decide that oh, that's really close to this. That's really close to the more thought you basically the more thought you put into a purchase. I think the more likely you are to remember you have it and to actually use it. I know that's the case when I buy products. The more I have to think about it, like the more expensive they are, and I have to really think about whether I'm going to use it or not. The more I do use it if I end up buying it. Okay, now thinking there I need some more yellow in here. And I'm looking at the monitor and I feel like things are looking paler than they are in real life on my page, probably because of the reflection. Oh yeah, let's tip that away from the light. See how much the colors really look. That's how they really look. I'm wondering if I can adjust these lights a bit and maybe get uh no, that's not helping. I'm gonna put my sketchbook on an angle, I think. Yeah, so if I do that, I'm gonna have a you're gonna be able to see my colors more accurately. Just don't get distracted by just seeing what I have that's the right height that I can do that with that won't take up so much space. I think that helps a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah, that helps. That helps with the glare not being so bad, I think. Yeah. Yeah, because I don't want it's gonna look like everything I was doing was a half step lighter. So all right, I need some yellow. I think I'm gonna go with this color gold. And I'm just gonna, again, glazing over. And since like the colors I'm using here are the more vibrant, newer colors, if you can use whatever color pencils you have that probably will have colors in that range. Now, what another one of the reasons I'm not being too picky about doing little circles with my color application or not is because I know I can go over with the Gamsol or the blending marker. Maybe we'll use Gamsol next because I've already done the blending marker. We can try the Gamsol on this. That way we'll have a little extra value in our demo here. I think this might be the longest I've ever streamed. Maybe not. Maybe that stream where I went through all my watercolors that time when my husband was doing the moderating for me. That might have been the longest one. Boy, can you imagine if I did that now? That was a few years ago. He was shocked. But I kept opening drawers and showing other watercolors. That was shock and awe. All right, let's add some Gamsol to this. I keep my Gamsol in this little, I might have to add some more actually. It looks kind of dry. I keep it in a little pot with some cotton balls in there. Probably should change the cotton balls too, but I definitely think I need to add a little bit more. I don't know if I have any right here. I hope I do. Otherwise, oh, I got my nasty old jar of paint thinner there for oil painting, but I don't really want to use that. Ah, here we go. Got my Gamsol right here. This is what it looks like. I just flipped the cotton balls over so that I've got a clean, fresh side. And I just put enough in there to saturate the cotton balls so I don't get too much, basically. And that keeps it so that if I drop it, if I tip it over, it's spill proof too. But mainly keeps it so I don't get too much on there. And what this will do is it will revive the paper. And I like to use a filbert brush for this. So it's like a flat brush, flat ferrule, but it's got a rounded tip. And I find that works really well. So I'm just getting there, gonna wet the brush. And that's gonna, just kind of make sure I don't too much. And I am just going to, that's probably too much to be honest, but it'll dry fast. Oh yeah, that's too, I didn't need that much on there. But it's not gonna hurt anything. It'll just take a little bit longer to dry. I like Gamsol a lot. It's low odor, low VOC, but it does have some, I mean, just because you can't smell it doesn't mean that it doesn't have anything nasty in it. Also, because it doesn't have any odor, I recommend that you keep it in a small container like that. So if you have pets, especially, like cats, sometimes like to get into your paint water if you leave it out uncapped. I don't know if they would be able to tell the difference. So just to be safe, or children, make sure you keep it capped. You put a skull and crossbones on the thing. Yeah, look how much I have in there. I'm still using what's on my brush. But look at how much more vibrant it makes the colors. And this will also allow you to put more colors on top if you feel like you're starting to lose the tooth because it removes the wax and the oil, breaks it down. It lets you put more on top. All right. I'm going to let that dry before I go over that, but luckily we have all kinds of stuff we can do with the leaves while we're waiting. And then to clean my brush, I just wipe it on the paper, on the cotton ball. And then eventually it gets real nasty and I will replace it. And I'll cap it when I'm not using it so that I'm not breathing it in. So yeah, that works. So we know it works great with the with the with both the alcohol and the Gamsol, and it just bleeds through the back a little bit, but that's another reason I have the cardstock in there. I mean, it's not even that bad. It's just a little bit of a spot where I went in with too much to begin with. So I don't know if you're using like a coloring book page, if that would be too much for your coloring book page, but just something to think about anyway. Now for our veins, I want to do the same thing we did with the spots, but with a light color and kind of the scribe in the lines. And I'm going to use wheat, which is also a color that was in the original range. And this center vein right there is really prominent. I'm going to see if I can do it without sharpening it because I don't want to have to snap it and then I'll do some kind of coming off from the center, and then I'm lifting up my pressure as I come out. So a lot of pressure, light, 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 lift it off the page. Starting with a lot of pressure, lifting, lifting, lifting off. Okay, we're gonna do that on both sides. Let's see, those veins, are they offset? The veins are offset. So I'm gonna come in between, do the same thing. Trying to get a sharp edge just by turning my brush, but I mean, that's pretty blunt, but you can still you could do that with like a Derwent Pro Color or any of your harder pencils if you wanted to. And that's where I see the most prominent veining. I don't really see a lot otherwise, but I'll put in what I can see. Like this is the back side of that leaf, so you're not seeing so much, just the center vein a little bit. All right, now I'm going to take a nice dark brown and get some of those really gnarly, funky dead spots. Let's go with woodland. And we're going to overlap any of the blue that we put in, and then we'll carry it on further into any other shadowed area. And don't worry about feathering it out, getting it too blended, because if you look at these dark areas, they're pretty harsh, you know? They go from green to that brown really quickly. I was really surprised. I couldn't believe that they were gonna increase this range, because it's been asked for so long in the colored pencil community for more Derwent drawing pencils. And what a good time for them to come out with it, because it's felt like there's nothing new. I've been kind of disillusioned by all the stuff coming out lately. It's just been like, I feel like so many products have been like, me too, me too, me too, me too. This is my version of the thing that was popular from brand X. I got to come out with one of those too. Or it literally is the exact same product, just with a different label slapped on it. And as a product reviewer, because I do one product review a week on my channel, um, when you're spending time reviewing a product and you realize this is the exact same thing I've already reviewed, and sometimes a couple of times, it's just really frustrating, because that's time that you're not making art. That's time that you're not reviewing something that actually is new and cool. So when this was coming out, I was like, wow, this is, I mean, not totally new, because there was 24 colors already, but this is something that's actually adding value to the creative community, and not just a cash grab, not just you know, I, well, I'm coming out with this because some other company did it and they were successful. So, I love that it's an actual thoughtful release, and that they didn't rush it out, all those years ago when it's been asked for. They made sure they could do it justice. I might have to sharpen this one. Getting a little blunt. I hope this release does well for him, though. Yeah, it's a tough time for all businesses, and especially businesses that are quote unquote not essential, businesses that people, I think probably the vast amount of purchases that are made in art supplies are made by hobbyists and not by professional artists. So I hope it does really well for him. I think it helps that the adult coloring book community is still thriving, because I think that's a large amount of pencil sales. And people definitely need their stress relief. I'm just going to do a glaze on this one, because this whole leaf is really just brown. Um, I'm just going to give it a quick all over color. Little crab finger, little crab, little crab arms. I was so tired after yesterday's live stream, and I had to make a big cup of tea afterwards because I think I talked for 2 hours straight, and I think I'm besting that by an hour today already, and we're not even halfway through this drawing. Let's see. Yeah, this one kind of, I'm just going to draw the barrier of that brown and then just give it a good quick glaze. Color pencil art takes time. It's kind of slow. But the Gamsol speeds it up a bit. Oh, another tip I want to share, if you are someone who loves to use colored pencils, but it really is takes a toll on your arms or your hands, they make these, and this kind of they used to make a pad that you could buy for colored pencil work. It was designed by Esther Roy, but I think she's gone out of business or she's closed up her shop or retired or something. But anyway, that you I'm going to sharpen this real quick. You can use any heated mat for that, and I got this heated mat back when I was before I got this room to film in, um, because we had an addition built up, and so this was my son's bedroom that I'm working in right now. I was working in a very cold, unfinished basement, and so my husband got me this heated mat, and what I'm doing here are these little spots, like we did the spots there, but I'm doing all these little spots here so that when the pencil will skip over it. Um, So anyways, we got this heated mat that you would stand on, like if you're working in a shop or a garage or whatever, and it would keep your feet warm, so it would keep you warm. And what I found is it's excellent for putting on your table. You can control the heat and then just put like your drawing board or whatever on top of that, and it will melt your pencil a little bit as you're working, so you can work quicker. And it's easier on your hands. So there's a little workaround, especially if you've maybe found that over the years it's harder to I'm just looking like, what is that leaf? Oh, that's like a leaf underneath that's all curled up. Um, if you found that over the years it's a little bit harder to do the color pencil like you used to. So he did not. You can all there's also I found at a yard sale once a little chafing dish. I think that's what it's called. It's like a hot pad that you would keep buffet food on, I think. And that works good too. Just make sure that it's not something too hot. The mat you stand on, like the garage mats, those are great. They don't get that hot. The ones that are meant for food can get pretty hot, so you got to be careful. I don't want anyone to get hurt. So I am kind of pushing with the pencil here for these little spots because I want it to protect oh shoot, pushed a little too hard there. I want it to protect the darkness, the paper. They're like little blemishes, but the blemishes look good. They make it look good. I'm gonna thicken up this up here, add some crinkles and some lines in the stem. All right. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back to that darker green and I'm gonna glaze. I'm gonna start by glazing over this one. That one is right here. Why did I draw it so small? This is completely out of proportion. Oh well, we'll survive. But see how we skim over the veins and the veins show up really well. I hope that the resolution is good for this stream and you can see the detail. I will post finished pictures of this on Instagram and I'll probably the YouTube community post and my blog. I'll take pictures of the swatches and everything. I didn't see the full range swatched on the Derwent website this morning. Maybe it's up by now. I'm not sure. Oh, you know what? I want to show you something. So I'm going to go over that with that bit more yellowy green too, and see if we can kind of, yeah, we'll kind of use a little pressure and blend, and it will tone down the white veins a little bit. But this leaf is the front side of that leaf, the front side of a leaf where you can see the veins, and also has um, more of an orange, yellowy tone to it. Okay, so I wanted that a little bit darker. I want to go a little bit darker around. I'm just going around the veins now because I am pressing hard and I don't want to cover up those veins, but I wanted some darker areas. You could also go in with a colored alcohol marker too if you wanted to. Now I want a more silvery blue, maybe more of like a minty color. Let's see. Oh, this one right here. Light moss for the underside. So I'm just going to do that on this leaf here. And just kind of play with that undertone. See how that's the undertones of the leaves are more silvery, bluey green, and then the front side of the leaves are more yellowy green. But the all these other leaves are more of that silvery green color. So actually, I'm going to take that and I'm going to start that glaze that over at least the green areas of the leaves. It's funny, this color feels a little drier. I'm not going to do this over the brown though, because I think that's too much. That's too that will make it too muddy because of the white that's in this color. I'm just doing it in the areas that are the green areas. All right, now I'll go over that with the darker green, the one that's not quite so yellowy. This is moss green. And I'm going to go over the brown with the moss green because there's not white in that, not a lot of white in that color, so it doesn't muddy it. There's so many pears to deal with. More than I could eat before they spoil just eating them. But pears are so sweet, so I don't know what to bake with them because I like things that have a little bit of tang. So I don't know. Share your pear recipes, please. And keep in mind, I'm a remedial chef. Chef is putting it way too kindly. My coloring's sloppy here, but I'm going to be adding Gamsol to it, so I'm really not that worried about it. I'm just thinking about this edge here. Yeah, I think that's all right. I want to leave a little gap, I think, between the two leaves. I'm always reworking a drawing as I go. I'm add a little bit of green to this just to cross-pollinate it. Okay. Let's go back to Gamsol and pear tart. That does sound good. I made pizza last night. Oh my word, it was so good. And which is great because the pizza I made previously, I was not that impressed with. So I was really glad to redeem myself. A pizza of redemption. My husband was happy either way. Yeah, pizza. But that it was a good pizza. I had leftovers for lunch today, or brunch, I guess. The brush I'm using is a Zen by Royal Nickel. It's one of their all media brushes, and they're the same brushes I use for gouache and acrylic, but not the same. They're the same type of brushes, but I do not share those brushes. These are I keep them dedicated for using with Gamsol. I'm just gonna tap that off a little bit. Because it's gonna leave wax, like a waxy, oily, um, like debris, I guess, or film in it. So I don't want to get that in my water-based paints. And plus, this I think can be kind of rough on them, so I do have to replace them every once in a while. Where I don't find that I really need to replace my gouache brushes all that much. These are very resilient brushes, so I rarely have to replace one if I'm using it um, for gouache and acrylic, probably because I don't do acrylic all that often. But they do fray in this instance because, it's getting wax built up in it and you're constantly kind of like you're using it to force the pigment to break down and to get into the fibers of the paper. So it is a rougher handling. So just keep them separate. Don't do this with your nice watercolor brushes. You will toast them. But these are like $3. They're a very affordable brush. You can buy them open stock at Blick. I think you can even get them open stock on Amazon. They'll cost you on Amazon though. You're much better off to get them in a local store. Like Michael, I think Michael's has them. Um, or on Blick. But I like the filberts because you get I don't know, that rounded tip works really good for um, breaking down the pigment and push it. And the flat ferrule works good for pushing it around. A round brush is a little too floppy for a lot of this technique, in my opinion, and it holds too much. It holds too much of the media. That's where brown brushes are so great for watercolor, but I feel like it just holds too much for the Gamsol, and it then you get way. It's easy enough to get too much on your paper as it is. And when you're using the Gamsol, you do have to have a fair amount of the product on your paper, or it's not really going to do much. You'll be spraying. It's like spreading too little butter over too much bread. Okay, I think that's a good base layer. And when I'm done with it, I just wipe off the brush best I can. That's all the cleaning I do for these. So, they eventually just get worn out, but it takes a while. And the make of the brush is it's a golden Taklon. Really, any golden Taklon is probably fine. But I find that just these Zen brushes, they're better than the multi-pack of brushes you get at the craft store, like the Crafter's Choice. I don't know. I don't want to throw that brand. That's a Royal Nickel line. I don't want to throw it under the bus, but those multi-pack ones, there's more bristles, they're more resilient. And, you could buy a pack of 12 no name brushes for $10, or you can buy one of these for $3. Get a couple of these. They're going to do you so much better and just save you money in the long run. So let's go back to the pear, because I want to finish at least a few portions of this before we finish up today. My voice is about had it. I'm noticing. so um, so let's just kind of work on these pears a bit. This color is green earth, and I do believe this is one of these older colors. I'm just going on its edge because I do want it to pick up the grain of the paper a little bit because I think that will mimic the pear texture pretty well. And these pears aren't really vibrant, so this green earth will help me get that. Oops, press too hard. Any breakage that's happening is from my pressure that I'm putting on it and not like cracks in the wax. I just want to point that out. And this green earth also is I'm seeing it a lot in our highlight areas. I am giving it a fair amount of pressure here too, but it's not, I'm using it on its edge, so it's not like really burnishing the paper or anything. Hopefully that color is I still feel like my paper looks a little bit more dull than it does in real life. Oh well, it's the limitations of the webcam. Oh, I totally forgot that leaf back there. Oh well. Looks like there was a leaf back there too, which, you know what? I'm just gonna pretend that leaf doesn't exist. I guess I'll have to pretend that. I want that leaf in there. This one right here, though. We're just gonna pretend that I can make that disappear too, actually. But I kind of like it. I'm leaving that leaf. We'll have to just, well, I like it, so I want to put it in. So we're gonna, I think it adds a little bit of, I'm coloring this firmly because I got to get that value blocked in. So if I have anything left in my brush, maybe I'll just. I like how it makes the edges of the pear stand out. I probably could have done that with a smaller brush, but. I still have some pigment in my brush, so I'm just going to add it to the stem there. Okay. Yeah, I like that leaf. I think that leaf is good. It's a good leaf. Now you do have to be careful about going over an area that's wet. You really don't want to go over an area that's wet unless you want to dissolve pencil as you're doing it because it flattens the tooth of the paper, which can make it difficult to apply more pencil. I'm going to go right in and get some highlights in there with a Chinese white. And I know it's not going to be super bright white because I have so much pigment down already. So I know I could put this in and not have it overtake. And this whole edge has a nice highlight to it. And see how that kind of pulls it right off that that background. You know what I'm kind of seeing? I'm almost seeing like a little bit of a pink blush there, and I'm liking that. So let's see what this pencil would do. This is light rust. Let's see if that's enough. I kind of like that. And I kind of see a little bit of that over here too. Might have to go into one of the darker pinky colors. Maybe ruby earth. Ruby earth might be kind of dark. Well, let's try it over here on the edge where it's darker anyway. Oh, I like that. It's complex. That's a little complexity. That's nice. Blend it out with that lighter rust color. Put some of this in the bottom of the pear too. Now it might be a good idea to actually be doing this with a sharper pencil just because uh because you can really see where that you have a fine point that you can really direct where it needs to go instead of gumming around um, with a blunt point here. But I'm going to use this. I'm actually going to sharpen this in the shadow area back there. I'm going to glaze over this red because when it mixes with the green, it should give us a nice natural looking dark. And then I can define the edge while I'm at it with this. And I'll go back to that ink blue in my darkest dark. Now I can go in with black, and I might do that for my final darks at the end, but I like to save black for the last. Often I'll save white for the last bit, like a pure white, but I knew I needed to get some of that in there. So I'm using a mix of the ink blue and the ruby earth to do these really dark areas. If you remember nothing else, you can remember what an occlusional shadow is. And that's, and remember that it's the darkest part generally. A little cleft, very, very subtle cleft there, but I think it's cool looking, so I want to get it. It's like a little pear butt. It's a cute little pear butt. Oh, I feel like I should be so much further along on this. Mixed media artist realize forgets how slow colored pencils are. I want to build some volume. I want it to feel more three-dimensional. So I need more shading. It's your shading that gives you the volume. I also want some more like complexity of color. I don't think those kind of like liver spots, I don't know what they're called on fruit, but I don't feel like I went dark enough with them. So I want to get some more of that discoloration in there. Actually, I'm liking how it's coming along. I think I tend to putter with colored pencil a lot. Like I'll put on a movie and I'll just kind of put around, and I'm just doing some scribbly texture. Want to get that. And this is called scumbling, by the way. It does have a name. We have the most highlight here, even though the highlights are subtle. Going to be the most highlighted here. And here along this edge. Oh yeah, and highlighting the edges of things on toned paper, it looks really nice because it pulls it from the edge a little bit, pulls it out from the background. Get a little, we have a, right here, if you can see how it's like really light right there, and then you've got that dark shadow there. This is light that's bounced from the napkin and reflected back up onto the surface of the pear. That's why it's really light right there, even though it should kind of be shadowed there. So you want to get that in there too. That's going to help pop it off the page a bit. I don't feel like you have to rush at home. I'm just trying to be mindful of your time. I know I've taken up so much of your day already. My friend Angela from Clock Fine Art is live streaming this afternoon, so I don't know if any of you guys have heard. her audience typically, so I don't wanna, take any of her people. Alright, I feel like that's getting a better, it's getting a better, more finished look to it. I should have asked somebody to come and moderate today because that would be good if I could have drawn while somebody was asking me questions. I could have saved some time there. Just putting in any of those like patchy spots I see because I think those are really interesting looking. I know they lack a little nuance here, but I'm going for speed. Um, I'd like to get, so yeah, I'll just try some of this. I don't know if this pink is dark enough, but some of that pink in there. Um, Boy, I'd like to try some of these other pinks. I don't want to go too crazy. What's this color? Autumn red or strawberry? Oh, wait, where's that strawberry color? I bet that strawberry would work really well because that's not super overwhelming. Oh, but look at it next to the green, though. It really does pop next to the green. Let me see if there's any areas I want to do that. Get areas where I do want a little bit of a red pop. I like that. I like that. That really sings next to that green, I think. And it really sticks well. It's really pigmented. I think the earth tones can have a hard time to grasp on top of the brighter tones, if that makes sense. Maybe because the brighter tones have a little bit more wax to them or something. I don't know, but I feel like that helped it really helped it take purchase a bit. I wonder, maybe I could use some of the reds in the leaf too. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I like that. What a difference that just that little rim of red makes. I think anyway. All right, what I think I'll do is I want to finish that leaf, finish this pear, finish a stem. Let's get it done enough that we can oh shoot. That you can kind of you would see how to finish it on your own at home. And I think that would be good. Let's see, is there any other greens? What if we mixed in one of these? What's this one? This olive earth. Let's get some of that in there. Uh Shade a little bit here with that. That's a nice natural looking earthy green. I'm going around the veins. Maybe a little bit on the edge up here. If the veins seem a little too dark, you can go over them and tone it down a little bit. I think that looks. I made this turn a little bit more aggressively. A little bit more blue, and then I'll blend in. I'll blend in a little bit of that light moss color. And I'm gonna add some of that over here because it does look a little bit out of whack. Maybe add a little bit of the other green. All right, let's try this olive color. Here, a few places. These spots on it, I think the olive would be good on. Just looking at the colors directly, not looking at my monitor, I think that looks better. I can still see my little spots in there, but they have gotten covered up quite a bit. I might go in with something uh, to add them back in. I think we did it with the brown. Let's give it a quick sharpen and add some spots back in. So I want you to just think about that leaf, being pretty mostly finished. Back in, add some of these spots. I would spend I probably will actually, I'll probably finish this up before I post it. I would spend probably double the amount of time on this to get to the level that I was happy with. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how long it takes me to do something sometimes because I'm just kind of not paying attention to the clock and just working. Just putting in some marks, some freckles. Like I can see the little stem on the bottom of this from where I'm sitting. I'm going to add it in even though I know it's not showing up from the vantage point of. All right. I'm wondering if I think I might put a shadow on the table. Maybe we'll do that with the blue. Might be a bit dark. You know what? Let's see. I was thinking about using that midnight color. Maybe I will. I'll use that midnight color. That will be my darkest color. I'm just gonna finish it off with this. Um, I'll probably do more to it because I'm enjoying it. I'm just running out of voice for the live stream. So I think I'll probably will do that, but let me just show you. I put this color in my darkest areas. And I think I would use this for my shadow. The shadow's a little complex because of all the different areas that I have it coming from. Flatten that back out again. But I think I do want to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the monitor. I'm going to get confused if I keep looking back and forth to the hair. It just feathers out, it fades out. So it's strongest. And it's going to fade out and get lighter. I'm using very little pressure because I don't want to have to burnish a shadow. It's burnishing the shadow is a no-win situation. I just want it to feather off into nothing. And I'll sharpen after I get the main shadow put in, then I'll put the occlusion shadow where the shadow closest to the pear where it's a little bit darker. you say occlusion or occlusional? It's one of those words where it's like, I know what the word means. I say it in my head all the time, but then you say it, it comes out of your mouth, and you're like, that doesn't seem right. Do you ever have that words like that? And you're like, you've said it in your head a million times, but then when you say it out loud, it's like, I don't think that's right. It's like the word sepia or sepia. It's like I'm never quite sure. Both ways sound weird, or mauve or mauve. Sounds weird either way. And then sometimes you say a word and you're like, wow, I can't believe I just said that word. I think it's right. I think I said it the right way. When I like to read, and when I come across a word that I'm pretty sure I know what it means, but I'm not quite sure, I'll look it up on my phone. If I'm reading an ebook, it's great because I can just press on the word and it will open up my dictionary. Um, but I always want to see how it's said because I might want to use it in a conversation. Sounds smart one day. It's like, cool. I didn't know she knew big words. I never would have guessed. She doesn't seem like a big word person. Oh, let's see. Those really aren't casting many shadows because they're too high up. This one's casting a little bit of a shadow, but not much. This is kind of messy. This guy up here needs a little work, but I'll do that later. We do have some shadows in here just because it's all bunched up. Everything's bunched up and just kind of casting an overall shadow there. Um, oh yeah, I didn't even have, I don't know if I moved that or what, because this leaf is not in the right place, but that's all right. We can add a little shadow under it on the cast on the other leaf. And oh, there should be, this guy just kind of got overlapped. The shadowing, the shading is really what creates the drama. And you need those nice dark shadows to give it the punch. You gotta be brave, man. You gotta be brave and go for the shadow. Might do a little glaze, a little bit of brown over this midnight because it's so blue. And I might use the Gamsol on it, to be honest. But I'm gonna try to keep it really soft and we're just kind of let it fade out. And then I'll take a final Q&A roundup. So just have your questions ready because we're gonna get to that in a couple minutes because I am about out of steam. I thought it would be too. I'm always. I think I'm a very optimistic person because I always think something's going to take half the time that it does. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be doing a stream in 2 hours. That's a long time, but I bet that's how long it's going to take. And it's almost been 4 hours. Oh yes, I wanted to sharpen this midnight one. I think this sucker is so full. I'm going to show you what it looks like. That it's so full. I could empty that. I gotta burn out the motor on that sucker. Oh my gosh, the shavings are so packed in there. They compressed. Holy, I'm still pouring shavings out. Oh my word. That was a lot. I'm glad I had the high capacity model. All right. Hopefully I can get in there and add some dark shadows. It might be tomorrow before I have this posted on my blog because I think I do want to work on it some more. Just get in there nice and tight. That darker shadow. I think it's the light that's in front of this. It's the most primary shadow source. And it makes sense because all the shadows kind of coming forward. I look like a little highlight on those stems. I don't know if any, I don't think any more will stick though. I think I got too much on there. All right, let's do one more pass with the Gamsol and see if we can soften out those shadows. And I would probably go in with like a little white paint pen or something and um oh, way too much, but it's fine. Um and add brighter highlights and all that stuff. So mixed media is a wonderful thing. You can do a lot with just the pencils though. Now when this dries, you're not going to see that dark, all that dark on there. I know it might look a little scary right now, but that's only because it's dark, because it's wet. I'll take the Q&A, and by the time we're done, that will have softened right out. Okay, like I said, not completely finished, but not bad for whatever time we spent on it here. I don't think, anyway. What did we spend, an hour on the drawing? I don't know. We were swatching for like 3 hours. We were swatching for a week and a half. I don't know. So I'm gonna go and look at questions and see what we've got going on here. Rag Trends asks, what is the overlap between this set and the Lightfast pencils? Which do you prefer? If you touched on this already, I'm going in and out with little kids here. Oh, totally get that. The Lightfast range is going to be like a step more vibrant. In fact, maybe I should just bring those swatches over. See what I can maybe zoom out and put a few more things on screen. Well, let's just do like that to make it a little bit more interesting to look at. Those are the pencils I used during this demo, and I can scoot this under so you can see. There we go. So you can have the swatches on screen as well. Yeah, Lightfast are just they're gonna take a step further in the vibrancy, but they do have a lot of these muted tones in the Lightfast range too. There's 100 colors. I would say you'd probably find most of the colors in the Lightfast range. It's just a little different formulation. And it just depends on what you prefer. Honestly, if you have all the Lightfast range colors and you're happy with them, then I think you're pretty good. All right, just trying to scroll through here. Thank you for your kind words, everyone. I know it can go kind of slow when we're doing a real-time demo, but I appreciate you sticking in and hanging out and watching. That really means a lot to me. And like I said, I'm going through and looking for any questions that have been posted since the last time we took the break. I don't think there'll be as many because most of this video has been the swatching. Colorful Erica asks, Derwent related, will Derwent ever offer the last 50 ChromaFlow pencils open stock in the United States and or on cult pens? We can get the 100 of the pencils open stock, but not all 150. I have to be honest, I do not know. I assume so. Because they just expanded to 100 like a year ago. Has it even been a year? I assume they're gonna release those last 50. I think it's probably they know. I think they probably know. I'm sure there's some sort of criteria when they need. I think they probably they try to anticipate how long a set's been out and how soon those would be used up before they release the other ones. I'm not sure, but I assume they would. It also has to depend on if the stockists are willing to stock the last 50 colors because that's every color, every new color they add open stock adds another SKU to a company's website, a company's inventory. And I think it depends on when the companies are ready to accept that and how many companies they have that are going to buy them. Um, I'm not sure on derwent.com if they have those final 50 colors open stock. I would look there first because if anyone's going to have it, they'll have it. I'm sorry, I wish I had an answer for that. I'll have to ask my contact and see if they know because I don't know. I'm sorry. I just got the 150 set to demo with at that trade show, and I hadn't had them prior to that. So it might just be they're waiting to get those out first because a lot of people have complete set syndrome and they want to buy the whole tin. I assume they're coming though. They've done that with everything. They've released open stock for every product they've ever come out with. And it should be October 1st on Blick for these drawing pencils to be open stock on. Blick is for what I've heard. Oh, thank you, Blue Daisy. The Frugal Crafter. Time spent with you is never wasted. I appreciate that so much. Um, Burley Strauss asks, have you had any water tea in the last 3 hours? We don't want to be the cause of dehydration or sore throat. No, I haven't. I should have grabbed something before I came down, but I didn't think I'd be streaming so long. So rest assured that tea kettle is going on as soon as I'm done the broadcast here today. I'll be sounding like Kathleen Turner before too long if I don't, which probably would be an improvement. Honestly, she's got a great voice. And I'm looking for the word question in all caps. I'm scrolling through real quickly. So if I miss your question, you can always post it in the comments below the video, below the replay, and I will get back to you. Sam Brid says, just tell Jason it was all free. I think it's probably referring to the watercolor live stream where I did a stream of just all my watercolor paints. He doesn't worry about it. He knows how I make my money. Eileen asked if I'd had lunch yet. No, but whenever I'm streaming, instead of eating breakfast, I'll eat a late, like kind of a brunch. And then I'll just have an early dinner. Oh, somebody said Cult Pens UK has it for 175. Is that the 72 set they're talking about, or a top-up set, I wonder? I bet Blick, if you're in the United States, I bet Blick is gonna have the best price just because you're not gonna have to worry about any additional shipping or because it's free shipping over, I think, 60 or $70 here. If you're buying the full set, that would definitely be more than that. Oh, somebody said Cass Art in the UK has a 24 set on sale for 37 pounds. I don't know how much these are going to be, Lara. All right. I think actually I don't know. I don't know if I'm caught up yet. I'm just gonna scroll back a bit because I don't want anyone to be waiting for 2 hours for a question. Cindy Bowl asked, "What paper am I using?" This is oh my gosh, I love this paper, and it's the gray and tan or gray and brown book from Five Below, and you get like 20 sheets of gray paper, 20 sheets of tan paper, and it's $5. And I actually did a video cutting one of them in half so I'd have two smaller sketchbooks, but I haven't been able to find them. I don't know if they discontinued them or what. But if you have a Five Below near you, pop in and see if they have it because it is such a fantastic um, book. Now I can't scroll any further back in the chat, so if you posted a question before that and I didn't answer it, then please repost because I can't go any further back on this for some reason. I'm just going to do a roundup here at the end and see if anybody else has posted anything. Rag Trends asked, did you say October 1st for release date? Yes, that's true. And I've put as much information as I can in the blog post on at thefrugalcrafter.wordpress.com. I couldn't put everything in the video description for some reason here, it wouldn't let me. So just go back to the blog post for more information, and I will do a community post follow up so that you can see the swatches and all of that. Oh, Eileen asks, do you use linseed oil blend to blend colored pencil? Does it work on all types of pencils like pastels, wax, oil? I don't use linseed oil. Linseed oil will rot your paper. So if you're just working on raw paper, you can use this is what I recommend. This works the best. It's called Gamsol, but any odorless mineral spirit. This has no odor that I can detect, but it doesn't mean it's not harmful to breathe. So I keep it in a capped little container. Scroll back in the replay, you'll see it in action or the Derwent. You can actually use any brand alcohol blender, but this is the Derwent blender pens. I use those for blending out that 11 layers of pencil that we did. Either way, they work great, and it just helps fill the tooth so you can work a little quicker. Just want to see if anything else. Have people Derwoods 206 asked, people used Inktense with drawing pencil. You can use them together, but you want to use your Inktense first and liquefy it to break down that product, and then you can layer over it with the Derwent drawing. The Inktense isn't going to stick on top of the Derwent drawing because that wax of the drawing pencil is going to seal the paper, so it will just bead up. So as long as you use the Inktense first, liquefy it, and go over with the drawing, you'll be fine. You just got to know the order of operations with mixed media, and you can pretty much get anything to work with something else as long as you put it in the right order. All right. I think we're caught up, guys. That's going to do it for me. I'm about toast. I want to thank you so much for joining me. And I'll take a quick photo of that. I'll just either do a big blog post or I'll do a community post, something. I'll have all the stuff that I mentioned in that. And that way you can finish your drawings at home. So I'll share a photo of that. But anyway, I appreciate you coming here. Oh, wait, I have one more question, I think. Question: how do Inktense pencils work with the drawing pencils for Derwent? Are the drawing pencils water resistant? Yes, the Derwent pencils are water resistant. If you did Derwent pencils first and then did Inktense over, the Inktense would only stick where there was none of the drawing pencils, so they would be a resist. So yes, technically you could use Inktense on top in that fashion. Have fun, experiment. If you have the stuff, just use it and see what happens. That's the best way to learn. You'll either learn or you'll succeed. Your mistakes, your failures are just tuition for your successes. Um, and with that, I am going to say farewell. Thank you so much hi, Sketches and Scrubs. Thank you all for joining. Thanks to the moderators for keeping order in the court. And we'll see you next Wednesday for another live stream. Take it easy. Bye.